Hey. Hey, hey, hey. How's everyone doing? Happy Saturday. Another live of me not planning on going live till this afternoon. But it's been a crazy week of true crime and crazy week in general. So I just kind of wanted to come on, hang out. I've sent the link to a ton of people so people could be popping in and out all night. I don't know who's coming. I don't know when they're coming. I don't know exactly what we're talking about. I have different subjects that I want to talk about, but not completely dead set on anything. Um, Also, if there's anything you guys in the chat want to talk about, I'm really open to just chill, have a good time. Oh, thank you, Mark. Hey, guys. Welcome in, welcome in. Yeah? Cray Cray, you can ask me whatever you want. Hi, True Crime Crazy. How are you? Oh, thank you, Christina. I appreciate that. um, Maybe. Aaron. Hey, Music City Mom. Hi, Merp. Hey, Lucia. Hey, Betty Damn Boop. I like that. Stephanie. Hey, Red Eye. How's everyone doing? Is everyone having a good weekend so far? Um, it's a loaded question, Cray Cray. Can you get a little more specific in a way? Yeah. True crime has been crazy, Red Eye. Well, Music City Mom, I haven't even I don't even think I've been monetized for a full month. I mean, obviously I'd have to be for you to be able to do this, but I didn't realize I was. Hi, Inspector Gadget. It is true what Aaron says. We don't do drama here, but I know that there are a lot of unanswered questions, so I will answer a question if you have one, but I'm not going to stick on it. Dang. There is the 1 month. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much. Yeah. Yeah. Cray that and other personal things. Yeah. Which one? True Crime Crazy. I emailed you back not too long ago. Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. Hi, Amelia. Welcome in. Thank you guys so much for being a member for a month. That's crazy to me. Feels like I was just monetized. And the crazy thing is too, and the reason why we haven't done like a members live or anything is because it takes like a full month to 2 months or so to like get your first money coming in. So that's why I haven't like done a members live for us to do anything. Thank you, Merp. You guys, maybe if it gets a little too late and Merp has a little too much fun, she may come up on panel. I'm trying to talk her into it. I know, Cray Cray, I did. Well, technically I think it's been like 2 months, but I don't go live every day. I work a full-time job, so. Oh, okay. I don't mind. Hey, East Texas chick, welcome in. Wow. Okay, well there you go. September 5th, you became a member. Thank you. But as soon as we do figure all that out, yeah. What cases have you guys been following? I'll tell you the few that I want to talk about. Obviously, yeah, it's okay. I got it. I've been watching all of Teresa from Criminalities. Her lives on Delphi have been so good. If you guys haven't been watching them, please go watch them. They're so good. I was actually telling Teresa today that I could just listen to her all day, every day. So, we've also been keeping up with the Rachel Morin case over on the Decipher podcast. I love TNLFT. They are some of the best people that I've got to meet through YouTube here. And so, but then I have my wonderful mods. I love you guys. You guys are the best. Oh, thank you, Red Eye. I know, me too. Me too, Inspector Gadget. She knows everything. She's so smart. But then at the same time, she has a way of like making it easy to understand the harder to understand things, which is what I appreciate so much about Teresa. Okay, True Crime Crazy. I don't know if you. Okay, so hey, Lindsay Lee, welcome in. But I don't know if you can like read minds. But actually, it was just the other day. Katie texted me and asked me if I knew anyone that did t-shirt blankets or anything like that. So I will have to reach out to you. Oh, and look at that. We have our first guest. Hello.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm good. I just was hooking up all my stuff, so I have no idea what we're talking about. But
We're not really talking about anything at this point. I was gonna kind of go over just the different things that I wanted to talk about. But I will say, like, between me and you, our main topic has been Erwin being missing, and he's finally found.
Yes.
And it drove me nuts for those
I'm pretty
days.
sure he was in a wall.
What?
Because he had like white scrapes all over him, almost like he was like stuck in between something and rubbing up against the wall, but I have no idea how he got in the wall or if it was definitely a wall, but I'm assuming that it was a wall. But then I went out for my hubby's football game, and then I came back and I was like, let me just check behind the fridge because it's his favorite spot, and I know he wasn't there before, but in case he came out, he'd probably go straight there. So I checked my fridge and there he was, just sitting behind there. So I was like, huh, where did you come from?
Yeah. So sorry. I guess I forget that people don't know. That's my one issue, is that I'll have conversations with people, and then when I bring it up like in public, I forget that other people are not aware of like what we're talking about. So everyone's like, "Who's Erwin?"
He's a very well, he's not too big now, but he'll be very big. But he's about the size of like a cat now. But it's a big lizard. And it's an Asian water monitor. But yeah, he's about the size of a cat. He'll eventually be probably about the size of a golden retriever with short legs, but not yet. But for being as big as he is, he's slinky kind of. So like, and I was like he had to get outside or something, but he hates outside. So I was kind of like going back and forth like I don't think he would go outside, but maybe because I was like, how do you lose a 3-foot lizard? You know what I mean? Like, where would a 3-foot lizard go? There's no way I can't like not find this guy, but he was in a wall or something because he had white scrapes all over. I don't. Well, I can feed him rats. I've had feed him a few mice, but I do mainly give him like ground turkey and eggs or chicken, like raw chicken. I'll cut him up pieces of raw chicken. He likes fish, shrimp, things like that. And my snakes get out all the time too, Linda. I was with a snake for like a month, but they can go longer without eating. Snakes, they can go like a month and then they'll just come out when they're hungry. But they're not as smart as the water monitors. Like my water monitor is a genius. He can get out of anything. Like I don't know how, but he can.
Well, I remember when you said it to me, and then you were sending me pictures of it, and I was like, how the hell do you lose that thing? Like, it's huge. And
Mhm.
I remember being so confused. And who was it? It was me, you, Tia, and LFT, and we were all like, "Did you look here? Did you look here? Did you look here?" And you're like, "I've looked everywhere."
I was literally searching, like, literally searching outside in the bushes because I could not fathom how I could have lost a lizard that big. I was like, "No way."
Right, and that's why we were so worried because I was like, "There's no way it's in that house if you've literally checked everywhere."
Mhm.
Ugh.
Exactly.
But yeah, so now I'm trying to think of all the true crimes. So they found Suzanne Morphew. That was a big thing.
That's my
Um,
case. Like, that case is my jam. I love the Suzanne Morphew case.
yeah.
If I have, like, more than any case ever, I think I've researched that one the most and know every little aspect of it, but people wouldn't agree
Um,
with my opinion, though.
well, are you for Barry or against Barry?
I wouldn't say I'm for him, I just do not think the evidence is there,
Oh, yeah.
like,
I
at
think that
all. And
it's
I
kind
think
of
there's reasonable doubt and other possibilities,
mhm.
Like, that's my
Oh, I agree with you
yeah.
100%. I also think if they had like his DNA under her nails that he'd be arrested already. So the fact that it's been what almost a week since her body's been found
Yep, or
and
if
he's
they
still
could
out,
if they could officially place him there, he would
right?
probably be arrested already. But,
Well,
like,
yeah.
yeah, like, if they could I mean, I know in the telematics, there was an address that was in Crestone, which was probably about 15 minutes from where she was found, but there's no date on it, and it's near a campground. So, you know, or it could even been like, all right, this is why I see this case from a different angle. I guess it's because I work in construction, like my whole family's
Mm,
construction workers, we're contractors,
mm.
and a lot of
Put a dot on that so I remember to tell you something after you're done.
okay. Oh yeah, we were talking about your window one day, and I was like,
I was gonna
was it
say
the
the guy
gutter?
came yeah, the guy came and he was just like, "Has it ever, like, rained inside before? How long have you lived here?" I was like, 11 years, and he was like, "Oh, and you're worried?" And I was like, "Yeah, because it was raining on me from inside of my house. Of course I'm worried." Like,
Did he
but
check the gutters?
so I got a video of it after the fact, and the rain is, like, coming out, so, like, the corner is here and, like, my window's, like, right here, and the
Mhm.
rain's coming off the corner when the spout is, like, 2 feet to the inside. So it's
Oh,
not
that's
coming
weird.
off where it's supposed to, but apparently that's not an issue.
Oh.
So, but
Yeah, I don't know that. But, yeah,
sorry.
so I don't know. I see things from like a contractor's perspective. So like a lot of the stuff, like for instance, everyone's like, oh, he's a cheater and this and that, but there's just no evidence of him cheating for one. Two, all right, so they moved from Indiana. And don't get mad at me guys for saying this. It's just, like how I observe things. They came from Indiana. He sold his $1 million business, but obviously they weren't in the greatest shape because they had borrowed a lot of money from Suzanne's father, I believe, and he was supposed to pay him back. They bought this $1 million house. I think Barry was fairly cheap. I mean, his family all had really nice cars and brand new phones, and he still had like an iPhone 6 or something that his daughter gave him. And he had just started a business and was working at DSI. So, uh, bringing up like starting a business and getting it going is very tedious, and you have to take every job you can. And if you have a second job, then every job you have to do on the weekend and holidays. If you're working during the week somewhere else on the weekends, that's when you're doing your own jobs. So I didn't think the the Mother's Day thing was strange because we always work on holidays and stuff too. And
Right.
then the dumping in the um
Different
the
trash cans.
dumpsters. Yeah, well,
Mhm.
a lot of cheap contractors do that. It's
Mhm.
not ethical, but it's common. Um, they go from dumpster to dumpster and throw out stuff, and they don't throw too much in one dumpster because then the people who rent it will report you. So they go from dumpster to dumpster. Now, I will say it's totally suspicious that it's, on the day that his wife goes missing. So, like, at the same time, I can see like both sides why people are like, oh, that's weird or whatever. Um,
Yeah. Yeah,
and,
the whole
just
thing
there's
is
no
just
blood,
crazy.
no decomp, no blood, no decomp. The airplane mode thing, they said that that could be just losing service. It would read as the same thing. Like,
Right,
and they had terrible service up there because even the cops were complaining how they had no service on the body cam footage. Um,
right.
and then the chipmunk thing, now it's weird that he said he was chasing chipmunks, but that could be counted as static drift. I don't know if anyone's ever looked at their GPS and someone's somewhere, but it jumps somewhere else.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I'll
That
see
actually
like my
happened to me
husband will be
the other
like in the
day.
middle of a river.
Yeah, I went to the apple orchard with my dad and my stepmom and my sisters, and I happened to, like, open it because I rode with my dad and stepmom, but my sisters weren't there yet, so I was, like, looking at where all of our locations were, and as I'm standing next to my stepmom, like, it said she was, like, 2 blocks down across the street, and I was right here, but, like, we were both on our phones right next to each other, so it's crazy. "Hey, BG." "Hey, Heather."
Yeah, and then the telematics, I mean, I don't really know how, like, I don't know if it's easy to disconnect or how the heck you do that, but I just don't think the timing is there from 4 a.m. to 8 a.m. Because, like, maybe if he did it between like 10 and 4 a.m., where his phone was still off and somehow managed to like disengage his truck, but we have him in the driveway at like 3:50 in the morning. He's in the driveway. His truck reads that he's in the driveway, right?
Right.
Then it takes about 40 minutes, 45 minutes to go to Moffat.
Yeah.
Now, I can tell you right now, it would have at least taken him 25 to 30 minutes to dig a shallow hole because it took
Mhm.
my hubby, who's about the same size and build as Barry, to dig just a rosebush hole. Like it doesn't, it takes,
Mhm.
even if it's a shallow hole, it's at least going to take 20, 25 minutes at least, probably longer because that's a lot bigger. Um,
Right.
and then he would have had to drive like 3 hours and 45 minutes to Broomfield back.
Right.
So that's almost 4.5 hours. The timing just doesn't match up for me there.
Yeah.
Unless he like dug that hole in like 2 minutes and boom, you know what I mean? But other than that,
Mhm.
it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. If you guys do hear whining, Dexter is sitting on my bed whining. You can't see him because my lights are off and I just have like my upper lights on. But also my mom is watching, so hi mom. She texted me and said, "Hi
Hi.
Mal."
Hi, Mouse Mom.
Oh, hi Queen Bee.
Hey,
Welcome.
Queen.
Um, but also I wanted to thank you guys too, for your thoughts and prayers. My grandpa is still in the hospital. He does have the vid and also pneumonia.
Oh
He
no.
Yeah, he is he'll be 93 in December, so he's old, but he keeps calling my mom and telling her like, "Did you know I have pneumonia?" And she's like, "Yeah, I knew yesterday when we talked about it yesterday." And all the different stuff like that. And so he's in good spirits. He's on a bunch of different medications. He's not on a ventilator or anything, so that's really good. My mom started feeling better today as well, which is great. And she's watching, and she'll get to go visit Grandpa tomorrow in the hospital, so that's good. Um, but my bachelorette pad is going to have to stay a little bit longer because she doesn't know when she's coming home again yet. So thank you guys again. Your thoughts and prayers
Oh,
worked, and I appreciate it so much.
yeah, that sucks. Both at the same time. That's terrible. Ugh,
Yeah, she's
sounds
been there.
awful.
He still lives alone at home. So she my mom retired at the beginning of this year, and as the saint that she is, has gone and kind of stayed with him months at a time this year. And right before she was supposed to leave this time, she tested positive, and then he tested positive. So, um,
Are they getting really bad symptoms? Because I got it and it really didn't bother me like at all. I got like a little cold, but it wasn't anything crazy.
kind of hit or
Well,
miss.
pneumonia is bad,
Yeah.
but
So they're both got really bad coughs, and um, like a lot of like runny nose, stuff like that. But like, and like headaches, stuff like that. Like
yeah,
my grandpa, obviously being 92, is very weak.
yeah,
So, it's like as soon as he started feeling it, they were just like, just bring him in. And they immediately admitted him and
yeah, it's
got him
better.
going on everything. And just because at that point he can't walk with his walker and do stuff like that because he's weak, even just the tiniest bit makes the difference. So, but yes. And mom, if you're not reading chat, I don't know if you are or not, but everyone is saying hi to you and grandpa and telling you to feel better. Sure, you're reading
Feel
it.
better.
Thank you. Yeah. So, um, it's just me and Dexter now for the time being. But hi, Rum Runner. Welcome in. Can you? And Anna, thank you for saying hi and everything. So hi, thank you for coming in. And we have our next guest as well. Well,
Okay.
Shay.
What's that?
I know. You're muted, Shay. There you go. Nope, now you're unmuted. Nope, now she left. Well, Shay was here. She says hi.
So what do you think about the Crystal Rogers stuff? Have you followed that?
Yes. Um, and what do you want? She's like whining, and I don't know why. The Crystal Rogers stuff, yes. I am very. I'm not gonna lie. I chuckled a little when I found out that it was Brooks's brother that sold the police the fire
What an
alarm
idiot, dude. What a dummy.
under a different name. Um, it was very much like, hmm, that about
How are you gonna
sums up
sell
the
this
case.
firearm to like law enforcement and they're testing it and they said it's the same caliber and
Mhm.
everything.
It's like
So
matched 4 out of 5 of like their testing or whatever it is.
yep,
Um,
4 out of 5 things. They're still testing
yeah.
it, but it's crazy. I mean I always thought it was them.
Oh, well,
So
and so for those of you that, yes, my 3 sons, yeah, due to his age and stuff, yeah. And my mom was a hygienist for 44 years, so she didn't have a choice, but yeah. Um, but if you guys don't know, Crystal Rogers, obviously, there has now been a charge in the case against her boyfriend at the time, Brooks Hauk, and
they do have one baby together, right?
yes, they have
One
one
child,
child
yeah.
together.
And her dad
And
was killed too, like a year later.
yep, so
She's missing. They never found her, which is crazy to me too that they never found her.
but they have now there's 2 people that have been arrested in her murder. One was for her actual murder, the other one was for conspiracy. Um and so there's a lot to it. Now, I did a whole like part of a live on this, and I think, didn't I? I talked to like so many different people about different things, and I'm like, did I go live about Crystal? I think so. But uh the thing with him too is he's always kind of been a dick. Brooks not only was like supposedly people he was seen around with ripping down her missing person flyers, but even when she was still alive and they were together, they would like go to the grocery store to buy groceries for the family, and she had 4 other kids that were not his kids, and they thank you, sleuthing tater tot, I appreciate
He
that.
didn't he didn't really treat them like his own. He only treated the one like his
Yeah,
own.
correct. Yeah, he refused to pay for the other kids' groceries. He would only pay for his son's groceries
Mhm.
and said the rest are your responsibility, even though they
And
all live together in one house. And it's
that's
just,
crazy to me. I'd never say that. Like, I have
oh,
stepkids, and I would never. That's just crazy to me.
Yeah, it's
And and the dad was like, he had this box filled with evidence that he collected on his
mhm.
own.
Yeah.
He was searching himself and doing his own investigative work, and you should see this box. I mean, the man had like a big file box just filled and filled with camera footage from places, like the little CDs with camera footage on it. I mean,
Mhm.
receipts, everything. This man was looking hard for his daughter and doing his own investigation. And about a year after his daughter died, he went hunting with
With
his
his
grandson,
grandson.
with his freaking grandson, and was killed. And when they went to go search the area, this, like, all right, so they go hunting on their own property. So somebody who would know the family would know that every
Mhm.
year they go hunting on their property.
Are you talking
And
about
there was
Crystal
this,
Rogers' dad?
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Ah, okay.
there was this area of brush where somebody had cut tree branches to make like a hole so they can see
Mhm.
through the branches, and they
It was
believe,
right off the parkway too, wasn't it? Where the
yep, right
hole
off the
was?
parkway. Yep.
Uh-huh.
Like you could just pull up on the parkway on the what was it, the what's it called, parkway?
Bluegrass?
Where Bluegrass, yeah. Right on the Bluegrass Parkway. They could just pull up on the side of the road, hop the guardrail, and go into these bushes and just shoot him. And
Well, and yeah, because I believe, luckily, and I don't mean it luckily as in he died, but like luckily the grandson was still in the car. Um, Hi Tia, welcome in. Have fun at the concert.
doesn't
Don't
Tia's
get too
hair look
crazy.
gorgeous? Tia, her hair looks gorgeous. I love it. She dyed it brown and it looks so nice. I love your hair, Tia. Have
I
fun.
still so she actually Tia, oh, Shay's gone again. But she dyed it once and I loved it. While we were on a Zoom call, and then she had to dye it again to make it brown. But it was still beautiful either way. But I was saying this with her and LFT yesterday, like Tia's hair for some reason looks good no matter what, and I don't get it. Like she's like, "Oh, it looks bad." And like it may have been
No.
like a little bit stripy before she fixed it, but the thing was is it still was beautiful. And it just
Yep.
lays like a freaking model. It's incredible.
Yep. I agree. So,
But I
so
do.
where were, oh, so the uh
Oh, grandson was in the
Tommy
car.
grandson was in the car when he was shot.
Yep.
Okay,
He
yeah.
was
Then the
luckily still in the
grandson
car.
called his grandmom, right? And was like,
Mhm.
or his dad. He called his dad and was
So, I've
like,
heard the
"Grandpa's
different
been
things.
shot."
Yeah, saying that it was potentially the grandson and someone else with them, like an adult, but the other adult and the grandson potentially stayed in the car while the grandpa went and did something. But I
Yeah.
haven't been able to find that anywhere else than like the handful of think places I first saw it.
Have you watched
So,
the Oxygen special they did? It's like a couple
yes.
episodes. They
Yep.
they go over it all on there. And then
Yeah, it's
go
um
ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, and then they heard the shots, and then when they went out there, I believe at first they said it was an accident, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And eventually it did turn into a homicide investigation, and then it came out. What was the court like? What were they doing in court the day that this all came out? Do you know?
I'm not maybe
Yeah.
was it like a custody thing? So I know that this is, so they brought, maybe it had something to do with Nick because they were interrogating Brooks right when she went missing. And during the interrogation, Nick, Brooks's brother, calls and is like, stop talking or whatever. And then Nick got in trouble because they said he was impeding on an investigation and he's a cop.
Well, and
And
it's literally on camera of Brooks answering the phone and being like, "Oh, I should leave." Okay.
yeah. Oh, was it the grand jury maybe that day?
It
For
was
for the
because
car where they had the grandmom testify at the grand jury?
so it says Brooks arraignment. So his
Okay,
initial
his
arraignment.
arraignment that day. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh,
Hang
that
on, I'll
was
tell
a
you.
year later.
Let's
When
see.
Tommy died, that was like a year later, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yep. almost a year to the day, I want to say, very close.
So did it take them a
Um,
long time to arrest Brooks then? Or
I want
no?
to say he probably yes, yeah, Brooks, yeah. It took them
Oh,
forever
because
to arrest Brooks.
they didn't arrest him till recently though. But did they arrest
Correct.
him before?
Mm-mm. So he was arrested.
Oh, I thought you meant there was court going on the day where Tommy was killed, and I was like,
Oh no,
that
no,
could have
no.
been
The
there.
court that was. I was wondering what was happening when the information came out about the gun matching.
Oh
Um.
yeah, that was just like a like an arraignment, like a evidence, like
Yep.
where they went over the evidence. Yeah.
Um. Because Brooks was arrested before, but it was not for anything to do with Crystal. It was for stealing.
Yeah.
Idiot,
And Nick
dumbass.
did. Oh yeah, they found that white Buick. There was a white Buick on the property at the time. Was
Yeah.
it where when Crystal went missing or when Tommy was shot? I can't remember. But there was a white Buick on the property during one of the murders, and it was Brooks's grandmother actually owned a white Buick, so they had her come and testify
Hmm.
for a grand jury, and she refused. She pleaded the fifth and wouldn't testify.
I
And
heard that
yeah, and apparently Brooks's family brought recorders
to the grand
into
jury.
to the
What
grand jury and recorded the freaking
idiot?
grand jury thing.
Oh.
Isn't that like illegal
Yeah.
ish?
Yes. No. Not just ish. Very. Okay.
I was gonna say at like illegal as but then I
Oh.
won't say it because I don't
Yeah.
want to curse on your channel.
I don't care either way, but okay, so yeah, prosecutors believe that they have the gun linking Brooks Houck's family to the shooting of Crystal Rogers' father. Let's see. During a hearing for the accused killer of Crystal Rogers, a prosecutor dropped a bombshell about their families and another unsolved killing that they say is related. Brooks Houck was charged last week with murdering Rogers more than 8 years after her disappearance. um, And let's see, more than a year after Rogers disappeared from Bardstown, her father, Tommy Ballard, was killed while hunting. For years, his case has also gone unsolved, still without any arrests. What are you doing? Jump.
Yeah, so now they're saying, I mean, it sounds like Nick is going to be arrested next if this gun matches, because that will put Nick's gun as the murder weapon of killing Tommy. And
Right.
and Nick who was the cop, Brooks's brother, his gun matched 4 of the 5 things that
Mhm.
match to say it's the same exact gun that was used in the murder. So they're still testing. There's like one more thing.
Right.
Uh they gotta test too.
Yeah, and it's just I'm curious. Okay, let me see if this says because I haven't looked too much into it yet. Um, let's see. I know that they had stated told the courtroom that during their investigation, a firearm was purchased that they believe was used to kill Ballard. They said it matches 4 of the 5 criteria they used to match, but they are still waiting on some testing. And he said the firearm was bought from Houck's brother, Nick Houck. He said Nick was using a fake name during the sale. Clever. Oh, man.
How dumb can you be?
Right? Like, and what it is he probably made like a fake Facebook or something. So that way it's like, it's probably like Rick
And
Houck. Like,
I'm sure the cops knew already that it was fake and that he was doing it because they're probably monitoring his stuff.
yeah, I know. That is one that I'm glad that they're finally able to find stuff that's going to be able to potentially get more than just Crystal's case. Like obviously Crystal's case being 8 years since it all happened and then 7 years since her dad was killed. You never usually think number 1 that at that point you're like hoping but not necessarily knowing. And so the fact that now there's a potential for solving 2 cases and getting justice for 2 different victims is insane.
Yeah. It's sad that, their family had to lose, both of them. And
Right.
I'm curious. I really want to know, like, what the motive one was for one. Like, why? Because I still don't I still haven't
For
quite figured
Crystal?
out. Yeah, like, why? Like, they haven't really talked about this is what the mom thinks. The mom thinks uh, that Halks or his brother, one of them, had murdered this cop. There was a cop that was murdered a year before she
Yeah,
went missing,
with the
and,
brush. That was also on the Bluegrass Parkway on an exit.
on the yes, at an exit, there was a cop, in the road. There was an accident or something, and he was out,
It was just
like
brush. Someone had pulled brush into the road, but it was enough that
so did
he
they
had
do it
to
on
stop moving.
purpose
Yeah.
so that the cop would go there? Like, well, it
No,
was
it was weird because how people were like, "How the hell would you know that it was gonna be him that was the next person to take the exit?" So, I think
but
it
if
was more
he
along
patrolled the area and if Nick
he
was a
he had
cop.
gotten off.
Oh, he wasn't
So
working anymore.
so the
Huh.
cop that was killed in Bardstown, what, a year or so before Crystal's death, he had just gotten off his shift and was driving home, and on his way home, he took one of the exits off the Bluegrass Parkway. Might have been onto the Bluegrass Parkway or off. Either way, connected to the Bluegrass Parkway. And there was brush, like a tree or something like that, that was in the roadway that made it so that no one would be able to pass.
Yeah,
So, being an officer and everything like that, he was very
he
much like,
stopped
"I'm gonna
to
stop and
clear the
move this
road.
so that the next person doesn't get hurt." Well, as soon as he gets out and starts to move it, he's literally shot from, like, an upper,
Yeah, I
um
think he moved it on the side of the road and it was like a hill,
mhm,
and then there was like
yeah,
up the hill, somebody was above and shot him, or were they at the bottom of the hill?
no, they were up at the top. Let me see if I can
Okay.
find the yeah, right, Anna, accidentally on purpose. Um,
And he was shot with a shotgun and killed, and the mom thinks that Crystal may have known that information and may have in a fight said, "Oh, like I'm gonna, you know, tell somebody or whatever," and that's why he was killed. There's also another murder too with like a woman and her daughter,
and they
which
thought that one happened to be drug related, though.
okay, I was
Okay,
curious
let's
about
see.
that.
Alright. Let me bring this one up. So this is Jason Ellis. He is
Wait,
the
who had a
officer.
baby in the car watching? Oh,
Who did?
yeah,
Anna. Hold
that I
reels.
missed.
Hmm. Okay. Learn to eat. Yeah, grateful middle-aged cat moment. It's good to see you. Yeah, it is a lot, and I think that's why they they covered it all. I think it's in that Oxygen series, is it not, Kate?
Yeah. Oh, everything's in the Oxygen series. Like, if you guys need a refresher,
Mhm.
like I mean, if you want, I wanted to do like a deep dive on it. If you want to do it with me, we can
Yeah, absolutely.
break it down, break it down, break it down.
Right? Okay, let's see. Dexter, figure it out. He like doesn't know how to eat, so he's like making nasty noises. And that is the last thing I need to get clipped is nasty noises coming from behind me.
I really like the Oxygen series because they basically it's like these private investigators that are investigating it, and they go to each one of the places and kind of like show you like where it happened and the
Yeah,
trajectory, and so you get a good visual of everything, which I really liked about it.
yeah.
And like I think they did a very good job on it for sure.
Okay, let's read through this. 10 years later, he was the first Bardstown police officer in 150 years to be killed in the line of duty. That's crazy. Hey LFT. Okay, sounds good.
Oh, I didn't know the cop's daughter was in the back. That's crazy.
I didn't know that either. I don't think so, because he was on his way home from work. Okay. Just before 3 a.m., Bardstown officer Jason Ellis stopped at the Bluegrass Parkway, exit 34, to remove debris from the roadway. He was on his way home after finishing up an overnight shift. Okay. Okay, Shay.
Okay.
Police believe he was moving the debris from the roadway when he was shot and killed. They said he never fired a service weapon and that it was still holstered. He was discovered by a passing driver. Let's see. It was premeditated and debris was planted in the road to lure him to his death. They said the gunman was likely on a hill.
I wonder if Tommy made any headway with this case, and maybe that's why they may have killed him. Like, I wonder if he was getting close to like finding out the details of this or something like that, you know?
Okay, let's see.
Because I'd love to look into this case more and see if there's some kind of connection with Brooks in some way.
Okay, let's see. Digital billboards. Oh, there's a puppy. Oh, he died. Oh, rest in peace to the puppy. Oh. Oh, it's Ellis's puppy. His canine.
Aw.
Okay. Wow, that brought the mood down. A new memorial is erected. Oh, it's back up. Sorry. In Nelson County, on the back of the memorial are names of the 5 men who died in the line of duty, including Ellis's. There's so many. Special prosecutors appointed to work his case, as well as the cases for Crystal Rogers and Tommy Ballard. Fast forward to today. They still get tips on the case, especially around the university or the anniversary. They still don't have answers. I'm sorry, Anna. I'm sorry. It just happened.
Yeah, I'd love to see if we could find like a connection with that one.
Absolutely.
Oh, I have another case I want your opinion on too. See what you think about it.
What is it?
All right. Karen Reed case.
I haven't even gotten into it much. I started to watch whose video was it? Someone did a video on it.
I can break it down for you if you.
Yeah, she's the one who left a bar with her husband, boyfriend,
or boyfriend. Okay, so Karen Reed. All right, well, I'll do it in like timeline form.
Okay.
So on New Year's, Karen and John O'Keefe, they get in an argument. He gets super drunk, and she ends up, he passes out, and she ends up having to spend the New Year with his nieces, who he adopted. I guess their parents died, and then he adopted them, and he was, their caregiver or whatever. And she got really mad at him because, when you're like expecting to have a good time at your boyfriend, and then they get super drunk and just kind of like ruin the night. Well, she was upset, and then fast forward. I think it was the end of January 29th. They go to a bar. Hey Thistle. And they go to the Waterfall Bar. She supposedly has about like 4 drinks or so. And while they're there, they run into Jennifer McCabe. Now, guys, get your pens and papers out because this is kind of a lot of connections here. Jennifer McCabe is a woman who has daughters, and one of the daughters is good friends with John O'Keefe's niece. So their kids are good friends. So Jennifer McCabe, kids are friends. Oh my gosh, I see your dog going under the blanket, and the blanket's moving in the
Oh, Dexter?
All I just see is the blanket.
His new thing since he got groomed is tunneling. So he like goes under every blanket and he won't just lay out. But he also hid one of his bones back there, so I'm not quite sure. But yeah, if you guys see that, Dexter's on there, but he's completely brown, so he blends in the darkness.
So while Jennifer McCabe's like, oh hey, my brother-in-law, so Jen's sister, they call her Coco, her husband, Brian Albert,
Okay.
She's like, Brian's having a party. Do you want to come? Do you want to come, hang out or whatever? She's like, yeah. So they all, Brian, Albert, his wife, Jennifer McCabe, all of them, they head back to Brian's house. I believe the party was Brian Albert's son, was
Okay.
having like a party and for his birthday, and they all went back to party. And John and Karen head there too.
Mhm.
So it's starting to snow. It was like a blizzard that night, but it was just starting. And they head over there, and Karen's like, "Hey, she didn't really invite me per se, just you. So can you like go in and ask if it's okay if I come in? Because I feel weird." So
Yeah.
she drops them off. She drops him off at the front door. He didn't have a jacket on or anything either. So she drops him off like at the end of the driveway, I guess, for him to go in the house and see. Then she pulls, away and sits and waits um, for John to come out. Supposedly, she waited for like 10 minutes. While that's going on, a girl that's inside the party named Julie Nagel, her brother, Ryan, comes to pick her up. He says he pulls up and he sees Karen Reed sitting alone in her car with the overhead light on and looking down at her phone, and that the car looked intact, whatever. So, uh, then 10 minutes go by, John doesn't come out. Karen gets annoyed because this had already happened on New Year's. She's like, he's probably drunk, whatever. I'm going home. She's mad at this point, leaves and goes to bed.
Right.
She wakes up at 4:30 in the morning. He's not home. So she starts texting him, like, where the F are you? Freaking out, like most women would, frustrated that their man isn't home at 4 o'clock in the morning, been out all night,
Right.
drunk. So she's sending him all the kinds of mean text messages, cursing him out, whatever. And then she calls Jennifer McCabe. And it's like,
Okay.
I can't find Brian, blah, blah, blah. So Jen tells her, oh, come pick me up. So she leaves the house and they have footage of her leaving the house.
Okay.
She backs into a car across the street, like taps it, not hard. And then she turns and pulls off the street, and her car did not look damaged in my opinion. It didn't look
Okay.
damaged. I didn't see any damage. She goes and picks up Jen McCabe, and then Jen tells her, "Oh, let's go pick up." I forget the other woman's name, but it's their name, John O'Keefe's neighbor and friend. So they drive all the way back, pick up the neighbor, and they go looking for him. And they go to Brian Albert's house. And when they pull up to Brian Albert's house, there he is on the front lawn in the snow, dead from blunt force trauma and hypothermia.
Hmm.
Karen, in her words, claims, "Oh my God, could I have hit him?" She's like, she claims she was saying it out loud, like asking, like, "Oh my God, could I have hit him?" Like, you know, like, how did this happen?
Right.
And then, um, his injuries, he had two black eyes. He had bruises on the tops of his hands,
Okay.
like knuckles and tops of his hands. His nose had like a little cut on it, and then his arm had all these deep gouges in it. I think I have a picture which I could share. These like deep gouges, and then he had a big open cut that was about like 2 3 inches long, right in the center on the back of his head.
Hmm.
And like a couple other like bruises and stuff.
Yeah.
And so, uh, the lead detective, Michael Proctor, he comes and like investigates whatever. Uh, they leave,
Mhm.
and John's pronounced dead. Then a week later, they go back and they find tail light pieces in the snow, like a couple
By
pieces of
where
tail
he
light,
was.
and supposedly tail light pieces in John O'Keefe's clothes. But this is where it gets all kind of jumbled up. The defense claims, all right, so his phone GPS says he never made it into the house, John's phone.
Okay.
But his Apple Watch says in that time frame he went up 2 flights of steps and back down flights of steps, and that he was like moving around.
Mhm.
And the defense thinks he was, well, all right, the prosecution thinks that Karen backed into him and killed him
Right.
out of anger, and then hit
Like that
him
it was
with
all on purpose and then just left him there?
and then hit him with a cocktail glass, causing the gauges in his arm, and then left him there. The defense is saying he went into the house. He got in a fight with Colin Albert. Now, Colin Albert is Brian Albert's nephew and John O'Keefe's neighbor.
Okay.
Colin and John don't like each other because John had called the police on him before. And the defense says that they believe John went in the house and Colin started a fight with him. And Colin, from what I've seen, is, that kid who like puts the middle finger up in every picture and talks like he's like a tough guy type dude. They think
Yeah.
that he, started a fight with John, and that Brian Albert, the homeowner, jumped in to help. And then that Brian Albert's canine dog jumped in and possibly bit his arm and caused those scratches all over.
Okay.
And what's
Now they're all
strange
cops,
is
right?
most of them are all cops, or somewhat like, all right, so they know the
In law
judge,
enforcement?
the lead detective, Michael Proctor. It was a complete, what do you call that? I always forget, when you shouldn't have somebody work in a case because conflict of
Conflict
interest.
of
It was
interest?
a complete conflict of interest because Michael Proctor is very, very, very good friends with some of the Alberts and the McCabe's.
Okay.
He's at every party. Their kids take photos together, all kinds of stuff. Now, he denied it and said that he wasn't friends with them, but
Mhm.
there's most definitely evidence that they are. Like, their kids take photos together. And
Right.
there's home videos of him at parties with
Right.
the family. So he was the lead detective, and Brian Albert is a trained MMA fighter. He leads. He leads like a drug enforcement task force for like gangs. Like he's like a
Okay.
gang cop. They like do.
Mhm.
And Jen McCabe, that's her brother and sister-in-law, and then Collins, John's neighbor, and then Brian Albert's daughter is an EMT or like a first responder or something like. She's
Yep.
either a firefighter or like an EMT, but she's in
Okay.
their best
Knows
friend.
first aid.
Yeah, Higgins, I think his name is. He's a cop. He was there. There's all kinds of people who were cops. And uh what's weird is here's where it gets very confusing. So at 2:27, I believe it was, Jennifer
AM.
McCabe, Googles how long to die in the cold. She Googles it.
Okay.
And then she Googles it again after they find his body, but spells it differently. And then Googles it again the way she spelled it the first time, and then deletes the one from 2:27 in the morning. She deletes the Google search.
And it is her? They know for sure that it was her?
Yeah, they did a celebrate thing of her phone, and she Googled at 2:27 a.m. how long to die in the cold. And then when she got to where they found the body, she calls her brother-in-law on the phone to
Mhm.
tell, like, I guess tell him, like the police are coming or whatever because it was outside of his house.
Right.
And what's strange is normally I feel like if a cop knows a fellow cop is dead outside, they're gonna come out.
Right.
You know what I mean? He never comes outside. His wife never comes outside. Uh, in the CCTV video, when Karen left her house, her tail light didn't look broken. And then here's the crazy part. They had a tow truck driver come, but there was an hour where Michael Proctor had time alone with the car, and then they just happened to find the taillight pieces a week later. Like, it would have just been him there by himself before the tow truck came for an hour. And they find the taillight pieces a week later, and the plow guy also drove by the house in the middle of the night that night and didn't see a body there.
Right.
So, and that guy, Ryan Nagel, who showed up, he saw Karen alone in her car, which they claim that according to the prosecution, around that time, Karen would have been out of her car fighting with John and hit him at that point. Because they said he never came in the house. But according to Ryan Nagel, she was alone in her car and he was not there and not laying anywhere, and her car was intact.
That's crazy.
So
what
they
are
have
your
a witness. I think it's a setup. I mean, I'm like 60 or like 70-30 setup. Like, I think that they set it up, in my opinion. And I think Michael Proctor planted the taillight because it wasn't broken. I mean, at 4 a.m. when they had the video, I feel like you can tell when a taillight's broken because it would be like white light shining through the taillight. And it didn't look broken at all. I could try and pull up the footage and put it up.
Okay. Because like I said, I think I started watching someone's coverage on it, but I didn't.
And she deleted a bunch of calls. Every phone call between her and Brian Albert, she deletes. Mm-hmm. And she deleted a screenshot of Brian Albert's contact information. Mm-hmm. And there's a bunch of stuff. Like, it's very... I mean, the Google search at 2:27 a.m. is crazy to me. And here's the weird part. There was like 20-something people at this party, and not one of these people saw a body when they left the house. How do you walk out of a party and miss a whole body laying on the front lawn? 20 people, not one person.
Based on where they found him later, he would have been seen.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was like unmistakable. Like, how do all those people not see this body? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just insane to me. And Michael Proctor is the lead investigator. He has time alone with the car. People, they think that, a fight ensued, and then my guess is they were going to make it look like an accident and just like put him outside and hope that Karen wouldn't get in trouble and they wouldn't get in trouble, but then it like backfired on them,
Right. But, like, if it would have been like an accident and then they're just hoping that she would have had to do the manslaughter charge or something.
Yeah. Or just be like, oh, she don't know how he got there or whatever. But I guess her saying like, oh my gosh, could I have hit him or whatever. But if you read the defense motion, there's a lot of stuff that's really shady. Like, she deletes all her calls and texts before she hands her phone in between her and Brian. And then she deletes that Google search. There's like a whole lot of things. And then they got rid of the dog. Like, as soon as the defense kind of like
that bit him, supposedly.
Yeah, they got rid of him. They got rid of the dog. They had that dog for 7 years and got rid of it right after all this happened. Then they redid their basement floor and sold their house.
That's weird.
Yeah. If it's too fast, tell me. Can you hear it?
No, it's muted.
All right, hold on.
The victim, a Boston police officer, dead in a snowbank. She's accused of the murder, striking him with her car. But the defense has a whole different theory about what happened here. I'm not calling it a conspiracy theory like in the negative way, but it's a theory involving a conspiracy. Okay, there's a difference. There's no one like landing from Mars or anything. There's a difference. But they are alleging some sort of conspiracy. Now, for those of you who don't know what this story is, you need some more facts. Chanley Painter has the story.
John O'Keefe was a good cop, and he was a good man. That's why my client...
Let me just add that John O'Keefe and Brian Albert weren't like friends. They didn't really know each other or anything like that. Like nobody in the house was really friends with him besides Jen.
Okay. Hi, Shay.
Was with him.
Karen Reed is accused of causing the death of her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe, after a night of heavy drinking. Prosecutors claim Reed backed her car into O'Keefe during a snowstorm and left him to die. But Reed's defense says the Commonwealth has it all wrong.
With each new piece of evidence that comes in, we're more and more convinced of my client's innocence.
O'Keefe's snow-covered body was found outside the home of another officer in Canton, Massachusetts. According to the prosecutor,
Did you see that house? You're telling me nobody saw a body on that front lawn? What?
Oh my God. I was just
Of my
watching and I
client's
wasn't even paying
O'Keefe's
attention.
snow-covered body was found outside.
How could somebody walk out of this house and not see a body laying right by the driveway after a party?
There's not even any grass.
Not only that, it's not like a hill. It's not,
Right.
it's like
There's
flat.
no hiding spots.
You're telling me people came out of this house and did not see a body there? No way. 20 or so
there's
people leaving and not one person seeing a body? No way. And
there's
mind
snow
you,
though, right?
she dropped him off at like 12:30. So that's when the guy Ryan Nagel came up and didn't see anything and saw her alone.
True, Cray Cray. Cray Cray says, because it's cops.
Inside the home of another officer in Canton, Massachusetts. According to the prosecution's statement of the case, the couple was invited to the house after the bars in downtown Canton closed. Witnesses told investigators they last saw the couple at the Waterfall Bar and Grill. Others said they saw a black SUV resembling Reed's parked outside the house, but never saw O'Keefe come inside. Reed told investigators that she dropped him off at the after party and never heard from him again.
She went home to take care of the kids, and then she called him 49 times. Where are you? Why aren't you back? She was the one to go back to that residence to look for him. She was the one to find.
And I think her like yelling at him makes it that much more authentic, because I feel like if she actually did hit him and knew she hit him, she would have been like, "Where are you? I'm so worried about you." But instead she was like, "Where are you, MFer? Like, why aren't you home yet? What the F is going on?" You know what I mean?
Like, not worried.
Yes, there was snow. It ended up being a lot of snow, but like not at that point. Like
Okay.
it had just started.
When did they find him?
They found him at 6:00, like 6:00 in the morning ish. Like
But when
5,
did everyone
about
leave?
5. Everyone left around 1:30. So
Oh,
she dropped him off at 12:30, and they have everyone leaving around 1:30, and the plow guy and Ryan Nagel not seeing him out there at all, and Ryan Nagel seeing her alone in the car waiting, looking at her phone.
Him. She was the one to try and keep him warm and give him CPR and try and revive him.
But Norfolk County prosecutors question those actions. They claim voicemails and text messages detail strains in the relationship and the victim's desire to end their relationship, including a voicemail from the night he died in which Reed allegedly told O'Keefe that she hated him. Also, O'Keefe's niece and nephew who lived with him allegedly told police that the couple fought constantly about the relationship and breaking up before his death. Prosecutors point to a broken taillight on Reed's SUV, pieces of which were allegedly found near O'Keefe's body, to suggest she ran her car into him. A forensic pathologist opined that significant blunt force trauma injuries occurred prior to Mr. O'Keefe becoming hypothermic. Cuts and bruises were found on O'Keefe's head and arm.
Somebody being hit by a car, I would submit, does not look like they had been punched out by Mike Tyson. And the victim here looked like he had been punched out by Mike Tyson.
Reed's lawyer, David Yannetti, says his client is not responsible for O'Keefe's injuries.
I believe that
So I think that, all right, I think he went in, a fight happened pretty fast. They beat him up, knocked him unconscious, or something went wrong, and then they were like, you know, oh crap, you know, let's just take him outside and throw him outside and make it look like, you know, it was an accident, or, you know, maybe someone hit him on the side of the road or whatever. And then I think they put him out there around 1:30, because that's around the time when everyone left. And here's the weird part. Ryan Nagel came to pick up his sister around 12:30. And then she told her brother, "Oh no, I'm going to stay the night." But then she ended up getting a ride home by Jim McCabe later. So I think like after they put him outside, everyone left the party at like 1:30, because they were all like, "Oh crap, let me get out of here." And then So that's why the plow guy didn't see him yet, because the plow guy went by earlier. And they didn't even interview the plow guy. One YouTuber, Turtle Boy, was the one who interviewed him and then asked him like, did anyone interview? And he was like, no. And then they ended up reaching out to him. Like the cops ended up reaching out to him like
Is he the
a
one that
couple
was
days
on Bill's
later.
panel the other night?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's a little like extra with the way he does things. Like I definitely do not agree with how he goes about he kind of like harasses the family and stuff. Now I do agree you got to be a little more aggressive when it comes to cops because they have like the upper hand in this, but he's like way too aggressive.
Right.
But I do think he I do think that he does good research, but I don't think he is I don't think he handles things very well. Like he goes to people's houses, yells outside their job, shows up at their high school, football parties. Like I don't agree with that,
Right.
The evidence
Interesting.
Right.
Go ahead.
shows that she didn't hit him. I've said in the past that his injuries are not consistent with being hit by a vehicle. And by the way, the Lexus taillight braking, coming in contact with a human being and not a hard surface, makes no sense to me. I think it's going to make no sense to a jury.
Most people have no clue that in 2023, the best way to make money on Amazon is not.
If not Reed, who? Her lawyer says that there's a lot they still don't know.
This is a case where the homeowner, being a Boston police officer, was treated differently than he would have been if he were you or me.
Okay, bottom line, this trial hasn't happened. I haven't seen the evidence, so I don't.
Yeah, the trial hasn't happened yet. It's coming up. I think they do play. Let me see if I can find. Or
So, Kate,
Mhm.
Kate, are you under the impression right now that it just kind of seems a little bit nefarious and maybe Karen Reed isn't responsible?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I think if she did do it, it was an accident. But I can't get past the Google search at 2:30.
Yeah, that's weird.
Well, maybe she just didn't know where he was, so she was panicking. Like, how long do I have to find him?
She
If
didn't
he's
even
enough.
know. No, her story was that she thought they went home, that they never came.
Oh.
Like Jen was like, "Oh, I just, he never came in the house. I thought he just went home." And she supposedly didn't know he was missing until when Karen called him in the morning freaking out. But it seems like, something went down at the house, they threw him outside, and then Jen went home in a panic, and went home in a I was pulling up the motion real quick.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't mean to go off.
No, you're good. I just didn't know if you
to go.
wanted to make sure that was being shown or not.
Oh no, it's fine.
Story of my life.
Oh, I've done that plenty of times, showing things I shouldn't show. Hold on, I'll show you. Okay, so I'll show you where they talk about it.
Can you zoom in a little?
Yeah, sorry. I have like a wide monitor, so it comes up weird when I share my screen. But just after midnight. Okay. As this court is aware, Miss Reed.
One.
Yeah.
She has always maintained that she dropped O'Keefe off at Brian Albert's residence at 34 Fairview Road just after midnight on January 29th and frustratingly left without him when he failed to answer her calls, presuming that he proceeded into the house for the party. Brian Albert, Jennifer McCabe, and Matthew McCabe, all of whom were present at the Albert residence on the night in question, have maintained that O'Keefe never entered the residence. They all similarly claimed that they had no reason to suspect any sort of foul play until Keefe's body was discovered the next morning in Brian Albert's front lawn at 6:04 a.m. by Miss Reed and Mrs. McCabe. Previously withheld information and data obtained from analysis of Jennifer's iPhone 11 paints a much darker picture of what actually transpired. Analysis of the complete forensic image of Jennifer McCabe's cell phone by computer expert Richard Green establishes that Miss McCabe, the government's seminal witness, Googled how long to die in the cold. And notice it's spelled with like a typo, like HOS.
Mm-hmm.
At 2:27 a.m. exactly 2 hours after O'Keefe was last seen walking towards the Albert residence by Miss Reed.
I just think the whole thing that you mentioned with the watch tracking the movements was really damning to me as well.
Yeah, they have him like going up and down
Like, how would
steps.
you explain that away, you know?
Hmm. And then 3 hours before Jen McCabe had any reason to suspect O'Keefe hadn't gone home with Miss Reed, 3 hours before she inserted herself in Miss Reed's search for O'Keefe and delayed her return to the Albert residence, and 3 hours before her discovery of his body in the cold snow on her brother-in-law's front lawn, she only had one thing on her mind: how long does it take to die in the cold? What's even more shocking is that the very next day, before turning her phone over to law enforcement, she took calculated steps to purge her phone of this inculpatory search, and at the same time attempted to delete her communications with Brian Albert and remove a screenshot of his contact information from her phone, which she had obviously shared with someone that morning. So they're saying that she took like a screenshot of his contact information and sent it to somebody, like probably someone they needed help from, like if they're calling in help, like, oh, hey, maybe Michael Proctor, because Jennifer McCabe, I believe Jennifer McCabe, her sister is the connection to Michael Proctor or something like that. So, or not her sister, her husband's sister, maybe. Jennifer McCabe has a connection to Michael Proctor. So they're saying she took a screenshot of Brian Albert's information and sent it to somebody. Like his phone number, all that. And then she
That's
deleted
odd.
the screenshot. Like she deleted it.
Yeah.
And probably, I don't know who she would have sent it to, because I don't know if they were able to, I had a family member hit by a car recently. I got hit by a car before in high school. Was I?
Paul Baston said, I had a family member hit by a car recently. Lesson learned that Ellie makes assumptions at the scene, which could impact a lot. That is true. That is very true.
Brian isn't Jen's husband. Brian is Jen's brother-in-law. So her sister's husband. It was Brian's house that they were at. Supporting facts. She's charged. All right, Miss Reed is charged with murder in the second degree and manslaughter by under the influence of alcohol and leaving the scene of personal injury and death in violation of MGL, which I don't know what that means. So they're the two. Go ahead.
I guess I'm just like I'm stuck on this car situation. Like I feel like there would be more evidence that she hit him. Like this,
Right.
unless we're saying that like the taillight stuff was planted on his body.
Yeah.
They
That's an
said there was little
assumption.
pieces of taillight in his clothes, but Michael Proctor had his clothes for a week before he handed them over to evidence.
Oh. Okay.
And they didn't find the taillight for a week. Like, they didn't
Ooh.
find the taillight at the scene. They found it a week later. And then they
Interesting.
changed. So they had a photograph of the snow, like, the first day it happened. And then when they found the taillight, they, like, am I okay?
Yeah, you're good.
No, someone said, Kate, you okay? I got hit by a car in, like, high school. I'm fine now. That's what you're asking? It was a long time ago. But yeah, I got hit by a drunk driver. So where was I? All right, so the prosecution's theory is that she suddenly became angry with O'Keefe outside of the home of Brian Albert's house and reversed into him with her vehicle, shattering her taillight by striking his head before fleeing the scene, and or she became suddenly angry with Keefe outside Brian's residence and struck him in the head with a cocktail glass before reversing into him with her vehicle, shattering her taillight and fleeing the scene. But in my opinion, if that was what happened, Ryan Nagel would have seen that when he pulled up. But he saw her alone in the car and nobody there. You know what I'm saying? Like, if he didn't see her, he didn't see him anywhere. He just saw her sitting in her car alone looking at her phone, which I think adds to the case that he did go inside and that
Right.
she was waiting. And then he was found unresponsive in the early morning hours. He, contrary to the Commonwealth series,
I
photographs
guess
of O'Keefe. Go ahead.
so. I'm sorry, Kate, because I did try to catch some of your live talking about it. I haven't deep dived on this case.
Uh-huh.
What motive do they think McCabe and them had, or if you already said that, I'm
Okay,
sorry, I didn't
so
catch that.
Colin Albert was at the party. That's Brian's nephew. He
Right.
is John O'Keefe's neighbor, and they did not like each other. John had called the police on him before. They have had beef, and they think
Okay.
he was possibly drunk, and John came over and he started a fight with him. And then
Oh,
Brian jumped in to defend his nephew, and then the dog jumped in and bit his arm.
wow. Okay.
Let me see if
Yeah.
I can find you a picture of his arm real quick.
Hmm.
And then they got rid of the dog. Like they had the dog for 7 years and conveniently got rid of the dog when all this happened. Can you see this? Oh, you can't. Hold on. Is there a way? I don't know how to. Hold on.
You probably just stopped sharing screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do that. Hold on. I was
I
hoping
just,
that it would be on my like desktop rather than what's it called?
I
Hold
guess
on,
I didn't
other stuff.
catch the part about the issues with the nephew. I think whenever I first had caught on to you talking about it, I was just under the impression maybe he had a hard night partying and there was like an accident and a cover up.
That's
Yeah,
not
no,
You know.
backing into him.
they think that's from
Oh,
see like around his elbow. It looks
yeah.
like a half moon type shape. So they think this is from a dog. The
Mm,
prosecution is claiming this is from a broken cocktail glass.
Okay. No.
And then
okay.
the defense
No.
is claiming this is a dog attacking his
I
arm,
could see
which
a
it
dog
is
more.
right. This is right in the spot. Like this is right in the spot where a dog like that would bite. You know what I mean? Like you ever see the
That's
people who wear the arm things and they go right for that spot.
Is this the inside of the arm, I'm guessing, from what I'm seeing?
Yeah, it looks like it's like laid
Yeah.
out.
Or the outside? Like it looks like somebody like tried to
Yeah,
bite
taillights
and
aren't
like to
easily
deter.
and taillights aren't easily breakable. Like I can't see like a human head breaking a taillight. Maybe like a baseball bat, but like a taillight, I don't know. I can't see a human head breaking a taillight.
No, I
Mm.
don't think. Well, I mean, if you hit it hard enough, yes, but
Yeah, but she was
not.
reversing in the snow. Like no way she's going. She would have to be going like 30 miles an hour to do that. Like I can't see it. All right, I'm going to
Yeah.
go back to the thing real quick.
Okay.
Wow, that's interesting.
It is.
And
Yeah.
they got
I
rid
didn't.
of the dog. Like they had the dog for 7 years and then got rid
Right.
of it.
See, and I didn't necessarily. Hey, 1960. I didn't. Like I said, I had heard about the case, but just like the overview. So it is making me want to look more into it for sure.
Yeah. They explain all the phone stuff. That's what I'm trying to find out.
Hmm.
The bar's closing around midnight. It was Brian Albert Jr.'s birthday. And O'Keefe and Miss Reed were not well acquainted with the Alberts, and the invite was extended to them by O'Keefe's longtime friend Jennifer. Shortly after midnight, the Alberts, the McCabe's, and Brian Higgins, a close friend and federal agent with the Massachusetts Bureau of Alcohol and Tobacco, also he like went to his office that night and clocked in at like 2 something in the morning. The Higgins guy. Or I something like along those lines. They talk about it, but it was very strange that this Higgins guy would just happen to go to his office at that time of night. They left the Waterfall Bar at midnight and departed together in Miss Reed's black Lexus SUV. And they headed toward Brian Albert's house, and John O'Keefe's cell phone at 12:19 pings again or near the Albert residence at 12:24. Witnesses give
Hmm.
conflicting counts whether O'Keefe actually exited the vehicle and made his way into the residence. Ryan Nagel, one of the only precipient witnesses present on the night in question, who is not closely related to the Alberts, like no relation at all. He's just his daughter's friends with Brian Albert's daughter, or his sister's friends with Brian Albert's daughter. Arrived at the Albert residence just after O'Keefe and Reed to pick up his sister, Julie. According to Nagel's interview, he recalled seeing a set of headlights of a mid-size black SUV coming from the opposite direction as he approached Fairview Road and yielded to the vehicle, allowing it to make a right-hand turn on the Fairview as their Ford F-150 then followed. Ryan confirmed that he did not observe any erratic operation by the SUV at any point while in his presence. Both vehicles parked outside of the Albert residence. He stated that he and his friends remained parked outside the driveway for approximately 5 minutes, at which point his sister came out of the Albert residence and told him she was going to spend the night and no longer needed a ride. At some point, Mr. Nagel told the police he observed the black SUV pull forward towards the edge of Albert's property line. When he and his friends left shortly after, he observed a woman sitting alone in a black SUV outside the residence as he pulled away from the house. He further reported that he did not observe any damage to her vehicle, hear screams, or otherwise observe any altercation between Reed and O'Keefe. Reed has always maintained she dropped O'Keefe off at the residence and waited for him to scope out the residence and make sure that they were at the correct house and weren't imposing. And when she became frustrated with his failure to answer or otherwise respond to her, she left, presuming O'Keefe had proceeded into the house for a party. So they say, hold on. Here we go. His Apple Health, immediately following his arrival at the Albert residence between 12:21 and 12:24, which he pinged there, Apple Health recorded O'Keefe taking 80 steps, traveling approximately 87.74 meters, and climbing the equivalent of 3 floors, with his location data pinging in close proximity of the Albert residence. The only reasonable interpretation of O'Keefe's Apple Health data is that he entered the Albert residence, which has 3 floors. Between 12:31 and 12:32, Apple Health again recorded O'Keefe taking 36 steps with no elevation gain, traveling approximately 25 meters. So I guess this is like walking around the house. O'Keefe did not walk the length of 3 swimming pools and climb equivalent to 3 flights of steps by circling and climbing on top of Karen Reed's vehicle. So they're saying, like, he wouldn't have got out of the car and made all those steps outside.
Right.
All right, so they turned over a complete forensic copy of Jennifer's cell phone. The defense was forced to rely on its own investigative resources to attempt to discern what transpired after O'Keefe entered the Albert residence just after 12:20. Now, mind you, even the judge is, like, kind of friends with these people, and she's denying everything. She wouldn't let them have, like, the data from the area, like, of everybody's phone. Like, she wouldn't allow them to get, like, the metadata from everybody's phone and who was at the party or anything like that. And, what was the other thing? They didn't even search the house. They never went in the house to search the house when they found him outside. Not once. File extraction. Jennifer McCabe's iPhone 11.
It's interesting, even when, like, Googling this, there's a lot of publications that call this a conspiracy and cover up.
Yeah. Well, it's
Like, without, like,
the Google search is, like, the big thing. I think that,
Yeah.
everyone has an issue with is, like, how did this Google search just
Has she
appear?
given an explanation for that?
Yeah, and
Wait, say it again.
Has she given an explanation for that?
She said that another tab was open in her phone or something like that, and that it caused, like, it to read a different time. But she went back and deleted the search at that specific time. Like, she took steps to go back and delete it. So the guy who did the Trooper Gariano, this dude, he did the Celebrate extraction, and when he handed over to the defense, it failed to show any search history information entered by Miss McCabe on January 29th including her incriminating 2:27 a.m. search for how long to die in the cold. So I don't know if maybe the lead investigator just took that piece out of it or whatever, but it didn't show any search information. So they got their own copy after discovery quests and motions and stuff. And finally,
Yeah.
after a full year, they got the full extraction back. And according to her initial interview with Trooper Proctor, which is the family friend, like very close family friend, the lead investigator, total conflict of interest, was a good family friend of the Alberts and the McCabe's. And it says, at her initial interview at Trooper Proctor at 11:30 a.m., which is hours after they found his body, when the events were still fresh in her mind, she claimed that she left the Albert residence with her husband at approximately 1:30 and went home. However, as set
Oh my
forth in
gosh.
Green's affidavit, forensic analysis of her cell phone shows that she actually left the residence at 1:47 a.m. Moreover, she didn't drive directly home with her husband, as she initially claimed. Instead, they made an executive decision at 2 a.m. in a snowstorm to drop off of two of Brian Albert Jr.'s friends, one of them being Julie Nagel, who was supposed to sleep there, who were in attendance at the party, Julie Nagel and Sarah Levinson, passing O'Keefe's residence at One Meadow Avenue on their way home. The McCabe's clearly wanted to know whether Miss Reed would be home to notice if and when O'Keefe failed to return home that morning, or if the privilege would be left to his two adoptive children. After passing by the deceased home at One Meadows Ave, location data obtained from Jennifer McCabe's cell phone shows she arrived back at her home at 12 Country Lane at 2:12 a.m. Approximately 10 minutes later, at 2:23 a.m., Apple Health recorded her climb one flight of stairs, presumably to go upstairs to her bedroom. When questioned by law enforcement as to why O'Keefe never made it to the party, Miss McCabe told law enforcement she did not think anything of it and thought that Miss Reed and O'Keefe just decided not to come in. However, at 2:27 a.m. that morning, after making it safely home and climbing the stairs to the privacy of her bedroom, the first and only information she desperately needed to Google was how long to die in the cold. Jennifer McCabe didn't sleep that night. Contrary to her assertions to law enforcement, she obviously had a lot on her mind. She took 22 steps. She spent most of the night pacing. She took 22 steps at 3:50 a.m. She took 24 steps at 3:51. She took 6 steps at 4:55. She took 24 steps at something. I don't know where it says. Apple Health data obtained from Jennifer McCabe shows her heart rate reached an 11-hour low at 12:49 and a high at 6:42 a.m.
But isn't that interesting how like the technology and stuff plays into a factor of these cases nowadays?
Like your heart rate and where you're walking
Right.
and how many steps you climbed up.
It is crazy.
Let me see. So then she goes, Karen calls her, and then she wastes time by making Karen go all the way to her house and pick her up, and then make Karen drive all the way back to Karen's house to pick up Karen's neighbor, Carrie Roberts. And then they research O'Keefe's apartment to make sure he was not home. And the defense thinks she was doing this to waste time, like keep Karen from going there. You know, like bullshit for a while. Sorry, excuse my language. Bullish for a while and waste time. And then after confirming, unsurprisingly, that O'Keefe was not at home, allowing family members sufficient time, the three women drove together in Miss Roberts' car back to the Albert residence. As women pulled up to Albert's house shortly after 6 a.m., Reed was spotted an unconscious O'Keefe laying face up on his back and in the front yard of Brian Albert's residence. While Miss Reed and Miss Roberts raced to him and attempted to render aid, Miss McCabe curiously remained in the vehicle and dialed 911 and began controlling the narrative. In her initial statement to Trooper Michael Proctor, lead investigator and close family friend of the Alberts and McCabes, Jennifer McCabe attributes a number of statements to Miss Reed that quickly make her the prime suspect. When asked to describe John and Karen's appearance at the waterfalls, she describes John as wearing a baseball hat, jeans, and sneakers, but she describes Karen as walking into the bar holding a drinking glass. So instead of giving Karen's, description of what she was wearing and stuff like that, she just said she walked into the bar holding a drinking glass. She falsely tells Trooper Proctor that Miss Reed claimed she went home alone that night and last saw John at the waterfall bar, and that she had to correct Karen and tell her that they all went to the Albert residence. So she's trying to already make it look like that Karen lied. Miss McCabe tells Proctor that while they were searching for O'Keefe, Karen repeatedly asked, "Could I have hit him? Did I hit him?" Miss McCabe falsely tells Trooper Proctor that Karen began screaming to pull over because she saw O'Keefe's body before he was actually visible from the roadway, and that she and Miss Roberts didn't know what she was talking about because there was heavy snow, falsely implying that Miss Reed knew exactly where O'Keefe's body was found. According to Nicole Albert, now this is Jen's sister who lived at the home, Brian's wife, they were still in bed in the morning when her sister Jen came into the room and shared with her what had transpired outside and that John was found deceased on the edge of the property by the street in the snow. She reported to police that she never left her home to see what was going on outside, and by the time she came downstairs, the fire department must have already transported John and Karen from the scene, which I think is crazy. If someone came in my room, it was like there's a dead man on your property in the snow, I would be like out there in a heartbeat. Like, what the hell is going on?
Right.
Why is there someone dead in the snow? I wouldn't go back to bed.
No.
However, cell records established that immediately after disconnecting with 911, Jen McCabe actually made 2 calls to her sister, Nicole Albert's cell phone. Significantly, a broken cocktail glass was the only evidence recovered at the scene. And then Canton PD initially informed medical personnel at the Good Samaritan Hospital that a broken cocktail glass was the suspected murder weapon. And you know how when a coroner does the death thing, that they go by what they're told by police. So they made sure to tell the coroner and all that the murder weapon was a cocktail glass. So that's like why they went in that direction.
Shady. Yeah. That is
And,
crazy.
yeah, so 607 and 608 were the calls to her sister, both of which were answered by someone and deleted. So she deleted her calls to her sister. They never went outside or otherwise investigate the emergency that was unfolding. At 6:23, Jen McCabe makes an outgoing call to her brother-in-law, Brian Albert, which he doesn't answer, and then she subsequently deletes that record. Less than a minute after failing to reach Brian Albert, Jen begins panicking and opens an article in her Safari application by Healthline entitled, "How Long Does It Take to Digest Food?"
What?
What an
Why?
unbelievably odd and incriminating thing to search immediately upon finding a dead. Because a lot of times in determining cause of death,
Right.
they check your stomach contents to see if
What
you have
progress?
digested food and the progress of it to get an idea of when you died. So,
Yeah.
like, or how long it was before you ate and whatever. It helps create a timeline. And she was searching how long, or she had a thing open. How long does it take to digest food? What an unbelievably odd and incriminating thing to search immediately upon finding a dead body. Significantly, the presence of food particles in the descended stomach and upper small intestine serve as a source of information for pathologists to calculate time of death. Obviously, immediately thereafter, she tried to overwrite her incriminating search from earlier that morning regarding how long it takes to die in the cold by re-entering it at a more appropriate time. Example, after she supposedly finds O'Keefe's body in the cold. However, in all the commotion and in her haste to cover up her 2:27 a.m. incriminating search about how long it would take O'Keefe to die in the cold, she accidentally searches how long to, with a T-I, die in C-I-K-D instead of cold. So she has like typos. Then again, at 6:24 a.m., she enters a second search, this time repeating her search, how long to die in the cold, exactly how she spelled it the first time. And then in her case, in case her sloppy attempt to cover up an incriminating Google search wasn't enough, in a transparent and unsuccessful effort to conceal her own criminality and blame it on Miss Reed, she inexplicably tells police that for the first time, that while she was seated alone with Miss Reed together in a car, when law enforcement arrived on scene, we prayed to our Father together, and then Karen immediately yelled at me 2 times to Google, "How long do you have to be left outside to die from hypothermia?" Jennifer McCabe knew how devastating it would be if the wrong person in law enforcement discovered that she Googled how long to die in the cold hours before she claims to have found John O'Keefe's body in the snow.
This is when like the coincidences to
Yeah.
me just don't like. There's
Yeah.
too many.
I'm
Yeah.
definitely going to keep looking into it because I find it very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I would say at this point I agree with you, Kate. I think that there's some type of conspiracy, and I don't think she did it.
Yeah. And then look
Yeah.
here, watch.
It's just
On the
sad that it's
incident
one woman's
report,
life.
on the incident report, the altered, so there's an incident report that's original and then the altered. The altered report swaps the single crime scene photograph included within the report from a photograph that was taken on the morning of January 29th, where there were clearly no pieces of Miss Reed's taillight at the crime scene, to a crime scene photograph taken on February 3rd by Massachusetts State Police when Trooper Proctor purportedly recovered pieces of her taillight at the scene days later after he had already taken possession of her vehicle. So he took her car, like he towed it, and then he had possession of her vehicle, and then went back and found pieces of the taillight suddenly. And
Yeah.
he had an hour's time where he could have been alone there by himself to plan it. And then listen to this: they take Brian's primary cell phone number out of the altered report, the very same number Jen McCade deleted from her phone. That, remember, she sent that screenshot to somebody of his information, and they put a random cell phone number in there. So like when other people looked at it, they wouldn't put those two things together.
Oh.
Like they put a
Something
fake phone number in there.
fishy.
Yeah.
And then
That is there's a lot to it, yeah.
and they got rid of the dog, and they redid the basement floors and sold their house.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I'd say that there's too many coincidences where it can't just be she backed into him.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'd say. Just based
Yep.
on what you've read and told us so far. I'm definitely with you on that part.
And if you watch like the video, the CCTV, which it is on that one, I'll send it to you, but you can see that it doesn't look like her taillight is broken. Like you can't see it.
Right. Huh.
Interesting.
I'm glad you explained it all because like I said, I had read bits and pieces of it, but that was like my first time actually going into it. I mean, I have to go back and rewatch this later and like write everything down because I haven't had my notebook near me this entire time.
It's a lot.
I'm just, like,
but
here
you
with
would
my
be
pen,
crazy if you go and like all right, I wouldn't, like I said, I don't agree with Turtle Boy how he handles things, but if you look through his blog, he shows all the connections of the family members, and you would be amazed about how many are connected to like the police, and it's so much. Like there's so many odd connections that just like they're connected. They're very prominent and very connected.
I would love for you to send me some of that stuff.
Yeah,
It's interesting.
Ooh, actually, you're right, Crystal. Hang on.
Sure.
I have it somewhere. Hang on.
You got a criminality notebook? Oh, so cute.
How cute is that? She made it. I love that.
I know. And on the back, it says, "The search for the truth is a pursuit that never truly ends."
Oh yeah, she's got some cute merch. She did.
That is adorable.
I got Dexter's t-shirt. I got a tank top. I got, what else did I get?
Ooh.
Dexter got a t-shirt. Oh.
Uh-huh.
I just got Erwin like I got a guinea pig Halloween costume because I think it'll fit in, but it's like a devil with like a little devil hood and a cape.
You should have done a Where's Waldo costume on him.
Have you ever seen the picture of my lizard dressed as Dog the Bounty Hunter?
No. No, I have not.
I'm gonna show
Hi,
you real
Aries, by the way. Welcome back, LFT.
I'm gonna show you all real quick. So
yeah.
during the Gabby Petito stuff, I dressed like, remember when Dog the Bounty Hunter? You can share the screen real quick.
Oh, there I go.
I dressed him up as Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Is that just string?
It's yarn.
I love that. Oh my gosh.
That's cute.
Like, I think I have more I have like probably 50 lizard costumes. People keep bugging me to do a lizard fashion show. I just haven't done it yet.
Oh, that'd be so good though.
I have a giant bin just filled. They actually sell lizard costumes at Petco. Like they sell
Wow.
or PetSmart. Oh, at both, I think.
Damn.
Mhm.
Okay. So I have 3 more cases I wanted to talk about. You guys don't have to stay if
Oh,
you don't want
sorry.
to.
I kept this going so long.
No, you're
I
good.
didn't mean to go on forever about that case, but it's so much that it was
no,
like I had to explain it all, you know?
no, and I appreciate it because I've wanted to look into it, so I'm glad. But I want you to send me some of the other stuff as well.
I
So I
got
want
you.
to kind of look more into it too. Okay. So where do we want to go next? Do we want to go false essay allegations? Do we want to go Maddie or do we want to go Ruby?
Let's
What's
start.
the essay ones?
Do you want to do
Like,
the false?
I don't care which one.
What about
Whichever
you,
way you want to go.
Shay?
Let's do Maddie.
Maddie? Okay. So there's not a ton of new stuff on Maddie yet. They did have court, so all of you guys know that Adam Fravel was indicted on first-degree murder charges of Maddie Kingsbury via grand jury.
Finally.
Right? I know. And then the day after the indictment came out, they had court, which was like his initial appearance for the first-degree murder charges, and his bail was increased. And let me see. Bring this one up. His bail was increased. I did read over the indictment. Let me see. Hi, Nora's grandma. All right. So there's trash. Oh, sorry. I mean, there's Adam. My bad. Let's see. Yeah, it was great, Kate. Thank you. You're good, Nora's. Okay. Fravel was arrested and charged in the death of Winona, mother of 2, appeared in person at Tuesday's hearing. State prosecutors asked Winona County District Judge Nancy Bytentorp to dismiss the previous complaints and proceed with the newer charges of first-degree murder. Also requested that the state increase Fravel's bond amount.
So, did they set a date for trial?
Not yet. So he still has to have his omnibus hearing, which is pretty much like a preliminary here. To a certain extent, it doesn't have as much in-depth information into it, but that is December 14th.
But it's not private though, right? Like it's.
Mm-mm. This one was not private either. This one on Tuesday. I know her family was there. Family and friends were there. So, his family was there, which actually is why I wanted to bring this up today, because his sister does an interview outside of the courthouse afterwards.
Did you see his dad's comment I sent you?
When
they announced?
That was the day. I actually went live that day. I brought it up and I said,
that was
you
the
said
one I missed
in the live. And
I was so
like,
mad.
Well, and that's the thing, is he kept going on after that. Like, we luckily I went on to the actual Facebook group and was looking at it live.
He made more comments?
He made more comments. So it's, I don't know. Some people just need to learn when to shut the hell up, and he's one of those.
He makes it all about him all the time.
Well, if he keeps running his mouth and doing shit, he's gonna learn. So, not like from personal excuse, but like not personally gonna learn, but like cops don't put up with that shit. Like, your son is indicted on first-degree murder. If you keep running your mouth, they're gonna start looking into you for shit. Like, simple as that. Yeah.
Did he delete the comments, or did the Winona County do it? Because I can't see him now.
So you have to go to not just relevant, you have to go to all, and then it's all the way down at the very bottom. I don't know if they did or he did. Last time I looked, they were still there. But yeah.
What's the motive here though? Like, they were just having problems?
There was a history of DV. So
Oh yeah, he was abusive, and like when the people would go search for her, he would like follow them around on ATVs and like
yeah,
try and run them
like,
off the
try and
road and
intimidate
stuff.
them. Yeah,
Good God.
yeah. There's
If
a
they
lot,
went anywhere near where her body was, he would like run them off the road and chase them and like scare them out of the air.
which is
Oh!
crazy too. Yeah, because technically they were being bussed around, so it's not even like they were privately looking. It was like put together search groups, and he was
Right.
chasing away like the entirety of the bus. But they
Yeah,
were
they
like
have a picture of him like out of the bus window, like standing up on an ATV, looking through the window like a whole
Yeah.
creep. Him and his brother.
So
Her friend saw him like hit her on like FaceTime before, and like he totally was like,
right.
in my
And
opinion, abusing her on a regular basis.
yeah, and obviously, like I said, me being very close to people involved in this, I have to be somewhat careful of what I say when it comes to her case.
Mhm.
Not because I'm told something I'm not supposed to, but just because I know the emotions and stuff like that that are happening with different people involved. So it just makes it very like hard to talk about sometimes. That's why I
Mhm.
was so nervous when I did my entire cover of her case, the entirety of her case, because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't saying too much about how someone was feeling about a certain subject or something like that. So,
Yeah.
but
It's hard. You want to
yes.
be respectful to everybody.
Mhm. Well, right.
But
Plus,
I mean, I
it's
think if he would hit her with a baby in her arms, that it was like probably a regular thing. Like, I mean, like it says on the like affidavit that he hit her like while the baby was in her arms and pushed her in front of the kids. And I
right,
think anyone who could do that in front of kids, like,
right.
Yeah.
What's Oh, it's my TV. I was like, what's blinking? I could see it in my mirror.
I think they took it off. I don't see them in here.
Okay. I have
Did
screenshots of
he
them.
have a problem with did he have a problem with addiction, drinking, or anything like that? Just curious.
I think so. I
Mhm.
don't know
Oh,
for
really?
sure.
Wouldn't shock me.
But it's yeah. So either way, his bail gets increased. So instead of it being 1 million conditional, 2 million unconditional, it's now upped to 2 million conditional, 3 million unconditional.
That's the terms I guess they're giving with it, what that means?
Yeah. So in other words, if he's able to pay the 3 million out front, then all he has to do is return for his court dates. If he has the 2 million, then he has to like follow by a list of things. And if you like go to the latest in the MCRO, so like the Minnesota court records or whatever, it'll show you like what his things are, and it's like can't be in contact with anyone regarding the case or anything like that. And you can't use drugs or alcohol, you can't do this, you're gonna have surprise check-ins, you're gonna have surprise drug tests, you're gonna have this and that, and like it's a whole list. And
To be expected. I mean,
right, well, you'll have to wear monitoring, you can't, different things like that, which I think it is interesting because obviously his kids are still out there, and he has lost visitation. They're with Maddie's family, safe, currently doing
is
okay for the circumstances.
his family standing behind him?
Oh, 100%. They still
Okay.
say till this day, which is actually what I'm going to show you. Hang on, let me bring that up. Is hang on. It's one of those where it's like a video file, so I have to be. It'll just start playing once I put it up here. So give me a sec. Has a
Murph
mind of
asked,
its
do
own.
you think he
Right
Told ya.
along the
Murph
route.
asked, do you think he will bail out?
No, I mean I don't think so. I know that there is a fear of that, but now that they've upped it, I know that people were concerned about the 1 million, especially with like the house and different things like that, where they were potentially trying to sell it. But now that it got upped again, I don't think so. So, but can you guys hear that, by the way?
What is the bail? Yeah, I heard it. What was the bail up to again?
2 million conditional, 3 million unconditional.
Oh, okay.
So this just goes, and this was off of TikTok. I just saved this TikTok video. And it goes into, it's kind of just a little bit of a peek here, and then it goes into his sister Teresa being outside the courthouse. So you guys will kind of hear exactly what it is. So
out to his parents' farm near Mabel. Fravel's family believes in his innocence.
I just, in my heart, I know they got the wrong guy. And justice can't be done if they have the wrong person.
I asked his sister Teresa what she makes of the most incriminating evidence, but she doesn't believe Adam placed the body there.
Who's dumb enough to do that? You know what I mean? I mean, why would a person do that if it would tie you to it in some way, somehow, hypothetically? It doesn't make sense. Someone else had to have done it. We just need help proving it.
Maddie's family believes
what's she saying doesn't
hiding
make
her
sense?
body.
That her body was found about 5 minutes north of his family's house.
Wasn't her body
that
wrapped?
makes more sense than it doesn't make sense. Like, what do you mean?
She's trying to say, like, it doesn't make sense because I don't think my brother did it. Someone's trying to frame him, like something like that.
I know, but like, it makes more sense that he would put the body there so he could keep an eye on it than far away. You know what I mean?
Well, he's also giving Adam a like.
But also, if your brother's
he's
chasing people
intelligent.
down, you know what I'm saying? Like, if your brother's chasing people down and stuff, you wouldn't be like, oh, why is he chasing people down who are near that if he didn't do it? Like,
well, and the other thing too is, although her body was found on public property, it was still public property that the Fravel family
they maintained it.
Yes. So
wasn't she found in a sheet from their home?
Just in a sheet. I don't know.
The sheet from their home, though, right?
Kate, do you remember?
Wait, say it again. I got distracted for a second. What did you say?
That's one of those.
Sheet found I don't know
if that information's out there yet, so I just don't want to say yes or no.
Was a receipt found in the home?
No, the sheet. Was the sheet she was wrapped in? Was that the one found? Was that a sheet from the home?
I don't remember if they said that.
Okay.
Or not.
Okay.
I don't
That's
remember.
the only thing I was curious of.
I think they may have, because I do remember something about the fitted sheet on the mattress that wasn't there in the affidavit. Like, they did say that there was a fitted sheet that was on the air mattress that he was sleeping on that was missing.
Then yes.
But I don't know if they ever said that it was definitely on her body. But regardless, it wasn't there. So I think you.
They said she was found wrapped in a fitted sheet.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Well then, yeah.
It was one of those where
it was the fitted sheet that was on the air mattress. It was in the affidavit.
Oh.
Okay. Thank you. It was one of those.
No, thank you guys.
Yeah, one of those questions that yeah, you know.
Well, I was making an assumption because I was kind of like when the sister was saying like it sounds so stupid. I'm like, but would it sound so stupid if she's wrapped in a sheet from the home? Like there's just certain, connections there.
I still am just trying to make sure that I don't confirm anything that's not put out publicly.
Yeah. I'll remember if you say it, like if it was on the affidavit or not.
That's why I asked Kate. Because I didn't want to answer with background knowledge. Not knowledge of the crime, but just different aspects of it.
Yeah, they definitely did mention the fitted sheet, though. I think it was gray. I think they said it was gray.
Yeah, it was like one of the things that like I had read on my own, like so I thought that part was interesting to me because I was
used
like,
a towel. He used like a towel, I think, to like Like,
around
well,
her neck. She was found with
allegedly
a
he
towel
did.
knotted around her
Yeah.
neck, inside of the fitted sheet.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. That part was on my
No,
mind
you're
in
good.
this. I'm like,
And all the
there's got to
cameras
be a
were like
connection.
smashed, right? Didn't he like
They were
break
all
all the
ripped off the
cameras?
walls and
I
taking
think
the SD cards out, yeah.
I think that was the biggest thing for me for like first degree was like all the cameras being out, and I think it was like planned.
Well, and I think too, one of the things about the first degree is that depending on, because the autopsy is not out yet, so depending on what the actual cause of death is, there are certain causes of death that can kind of, they take time, and during that time there's enough time to say stop, to say no,
Like, yeah,
to
like
stop yourself.
change your
So then
mind and stop. Yeah, you're right.
so then it's automatically like more. Is there a transcript or anything from the court for the new charges? No, not really. No. I heard from people that were there, and then just different news sources. So, but nothing like other than that, and then his sister obviously talking out in front of the courthouse, which the Frable family needs to just shut the hell up. Sorry, but like,
They're awful. I mean, the things they said, like knowing, like just awful. Like have zero, like can't read a room, nothing. Like
right.
awful.
LFT December 14th is his omnibus hearing, so I'll keep you guys up to date. And during the omnibus is where he'll put in his plea, and they should like hopefully, as long as there's nothing else crazy that happens, should get a trial date.
So how come they share like less information during those? Like how, like what makes it like different than?
No, it's just not a full, because technically I'm not exactly sure why they even still do it, if I'm being honest, just because when the way I looked at it was like the Kohberger stuff. So Brian Kohberger was indicted by a grand jury, and it's going to go directly to like whatever his next hearing is. There's no longer preliminary hearing.
I'm just kidding. I follow that case.
But it's not a grand jury, so it's not in private. So wouldn't it be like the same thing?
So he was indicted by a grand jury.
Oh, he was indicted by a grand jury. Okay, so it's like an
so
evidentiary type hearing.
Correct, but then you don't get an evidentiary one when you've already been indicted by a grand jury. So this is just like the official, the first one, which Daisy, thank you so much for becoming a member. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
I'm looking it up now because I forgot he was indicted by a grand jury twice. Let me see.
Yeah, so in the state of Minnesota, you can't get a first degree murder charge without a grand jury indictment in Minnesota, which is stupid, but whatever.
So it's a pre-trial hearing.
Yep. So he puts in his plea. They make sure that everything's in order. But it's not.
So it's probably one of those things where they go over if it's sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Like if they can put it into the trial or not. Like they decide if it's
So it's already going to trial. So the with having the indictment, it's already going to trial. So this is pretty much
but like this is allowing the evidence to go into trial. Like they go over it and be like, okay, this goes in, this goes out, this goes in, goes out type thing.
I think so, but not to the extent
that's kind of like
everything.
Because they kind of did that with like Maddie Morphew, but they did like 8 hearings for it. But like they decided like, okay, well, this will go in because, like, for instance, they kept the DV stuff out because there was no police reports or nothing like that. It was just like just talk. So it was like hearsay. So I'm curious if this is like a hearing where they just go over all the evidence and decide what they're keeping and what they're not.
So hang on, let me I know for sure he pleads either guilty or not guilty. And then they get everything situated so that they can go to court. And then a court
Yeah,
date is
that's
set.
what it sounds like.
So
So this is actually like I feel like better than having like 7 or 8 hearings to decide what goes in and out. Because usually it goes like it takes forever. They have like a million hearings, but this sounds like they just have one hearing where they just discuss all the evidence and they decide what goes. It says the purpose of the hearing is to determine evidence, including testimony and evidence seized at the time of the arrest. The counsel for the plaintiff or the people and the defendant attend the hearing to discuss pretrial matters pertaining to the case.
yeah, so that's what's happening on December 14th. And then up after that, hopefully there's nothing else that like gets stopped, and then we can just kind of go forward. And grateful
be
middle-aged
interesting.
fat mama, fingers crossed. Just saying.
So I noticed that it said that was the autopsy report released to the family, because in some of the news articles I'm seeing, like when I shared with you just on the private chat, it says that the autopsy report, what they have revealed from it has been minimal information, and what minimal they were giving was homicidal violence.
Right. So
Is that
that's
correct?
all. Yeah, that's all that has come out, and that is just what has been given out. I'm not sure if it was by the prosecutor or if it was by investigators or what. I know the
Okay.
full thing is not out. I don't know if the family has
Right.
seen the full thing.
Sometimes they give like the report, but they keep the notes back. Like they'll give you the cause of death and all that, and then like the notes,
Yeah.
I guess, were describing stuff. But I mean,
Right.
I would
Yeah,
be shocked if they didn't let the family see it, but maybe.
well, I
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised they gave the cause and the manner, but I would not be surprised as well if they did hold back the autopsy even from the family to wait to
Right.
go through trial.
Well, and that's the thing is, even with what has been put out, there's a difference because all it says is homicide by homicidal violence. So it doesn't actually give like a this is how and why this happened. You know, like the specific, you know, whether, you know, it's a shooting or a stabbing or strangulation or something like along those lines, we don't know. That aspect of it, we just know it was homicidal violence. So but
I wonder if they found like evidence that because if all right, say he did strangle her with a towel, but if he had like been hitting her previously, if they found evidence of like old injuries or even just from earlier in that day.
Like stuff that would
Like if he like
show
beat her up
sides of
beforehand.
DV. Yeah.
Yeah.
like previous
It's
fractures
very sad.
or stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it could be.
But I mean, they did one of the first degree charges is specific to a history of DV. So a domestic violence incident, and it happened in a relationship that had a history of domestic violence. So that is like the specifics of one of his first degree charges, which I thought was interesting, but I'm glad. But yeah. Okay. So
That's big news though.
it's big news. I try to stay very neutral when it comes to the Frable family. Neutral in the fact that they're, in my opinion, pieces of shit, but like I just try to stay neutral. And so
I just feel like they have no regard for like the feelings of like her
anyone
family.
but themselves.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
just the way they were talking was just like awful. Like they like if they had handled it differently, I feel like, you know, people would have felt bad for them, but they just didn't. Like they were awful. Accusing searcher like here's my thing. If you really did care about Maddie and it wasn't you, right? You would be appreciative that anybody and everyone were coming out to look for her and not intimidating them. You would be like, "Thank you so much for all the people coming out. This is like, you know, not scaring people off and intimidating them. It just doesn't make any sense to me that you would be so, I would be appreciative of one person coming to help. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Well,
Like it
and then you
blows
also
my mind.
think back though to the one and only statement that Adam put out before he was arrested. And it literally is like, the police have asked me not to come to the searches or come to the press conferences because, safety concerns and blah, blah, blah. And then literally within hours of him posting his statement, the Minnesota, what is it, criminal apprehension, whatever they are, put out a statement and was like, we did not tell him any of that. And
But
it was like
technically,
literally within hours, and they were just like, yeah, never said that. And everyone was just like, you have got to be shitting me. Like, I still remember the day that it happened and being like, oh my God, he finally put out a statement. And then, like, by the time I even saw the statement, there was already the statement from the police being like, yeah, we didn't say that.
Or when him and his family were saying that they have people on camera planting evidence,
Yeah.
like in their yard and stuff. Like, get the hell out of here! Ain't nobody planting evidence on your property. Like they're like, yeah, we have it on camera on them. Oh, it's
Right.
horrible.
Yeah, there's
I didn't know he did that. That's kind of weird, but it wouldn't surprise me if family was asked not to search because you don't want them to come across the body and like
yeah.
that makes sense to me. But the fact that he went out of his way and tried to quote a police
Yeah.
department or investigation and that's not true, that's concerning.
Well, right. And yeah, that was one of the amusing parts of that, I think. And I will say though, because when you look back to actually when this was all happening in real time, the family was not vocal at all that they thought it was Adam. They were very much silent, neutral. There's no person of interest, blah blah blah. It wasn't until he was arrested and we find out that he's arrested, and then we're like, well, what the hell? Why is he arrested right now? And then it's like 45 minutes after the announcement that he's been arrested is when they announced that they found her body. So it was like one thing after another, and just
Or when they were
crazy.
saying that they were mad that they weren't invited to like the memorial thing, and it's like, how awkward would that be? I'm sorry, but like, why wouldn't they ever invite you? Like,
Well, right.
it's so
It makes no
weird.
sense. It makes no sense. It's like, well, and the thing is too is they were being very vocal in this time. So like I have
Yeah.
all the screenshots of the Fravel family in the Facebook groups when all of this was first starting,
Saying that she was doing all like saying that saying bad
trying
things
to
about
just put the
her.
blame on Maddie. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
I wouldn't have invited them either.
well, and the thing is too is we're seeing all that. We're seeing his family be dicks on the internet. And then we get to like her family is not saying anything. So it was very much like everyone kind of knew where it was going. But I also think the fact that not only did they not say like, oh, there's a person of interest or like we're looking at him, it also was very much like they're not saying that he didn't do this. And so and at that time they're fighting for the kids and stuff like that too. So I think there was just a lot to it. Like
So I have a question, and if you don't feel comfortable answering it, you don't have to. But do you think that do you think anyone in his family, like, do you think they knew anything, or his brother, or anything like that? Like, do you think
I think so.
Adam?
Me personally, I
Yeah,
think so.
I think at least his brother knew, because I feel like
Well, why
they
did
were.
he? How could you go? You potentially kill her, hide her body, and then go pick up your kids, bring your kids to your parents' house, and that's where he's been this entire time.
Yeah, but like
So
his brother was out helping him scare people in the ATV, so I kind of like feel like he may have known, where she
right.
was or wherever.
I would say yes.
Yeah.
Um, in my personal opinion, yes. I
Can
think
they prove
that,
it? Maybe not, but I
right,
think so too.
right. And that's not me knowing anything else. That's just my personal opinion based on
Yeah.
what I've seen them do, what I've seen them say, and different things like that on the internet and in interviews and stuff like that. Like, I think so. I think that they knew more. They definitely knew after. And I think at this point, they're just trying to save their asses for everything, you know?
Yeah.
So, but
I mean, I think maybe he probably, if he did say anything to him, told them some completely
bullshit.
bogus
Yeah.
story. Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't like I got mad and hurt her. It was probably like she fell, hit her head, and I didn't know what to do.
She
You're gonna,
attacked me and I defended
yeah,
myself. And yeah,
right.
some shit like that.
Yeah, because she's literally like she's 5'4", I think, like around there, and like a little teeny person, and he's like over 6 foot, big, beefy. So,
Yeah.
Nope, I don't buy it. Okay, but that's kind of the updates. Like I said, I will. Yeah, probably, maybe Aaron, big and beefy. Ooh, don't get me started, Heather. All right. So we'll have 2 more stories. I'll go to Ruby next, and then there's just a handful of updates on the Ruby Frankie case. We covered this in depth. I know I was not a fan of Ruby, but I was a fan of Bonnie, Pauline, and Ellie and Jared. I had seen, obviously, Ruby here and there because I watched their content a lot. But I was aware of the dynamics of things and all of the things that have come forth since she's been arrested before it was like a big thing. And then I've obviously been covering it since then. Hang on. There we go. Just making sure I'm sharing. Yeah. Heather, and I'll say too, before we read this, Bonnie put out another video just the other day, entitled it "How I Told My Kids About Aunt Ruby."
Wait, so do you think the dad knew that this was going on?
I don't think he knew to like the extent at that point, like at that specific moment in time.
When he got her arrested?
Yes.
So this is the daughter that like left for college and like separated herself from them, right? Like, didn't she like leave and just?
Yeah, Sherry. Yeah. Yep.
The one that was
but,
doing
like,
all the interviews?
was she doing interviews? No, that's
She's the
her-
one who
that's her
tweeted
niece
like
that's
"Thank
Jody.
goodness," right? Like she was the one
Yes.
who was tweeting like "Thank goodness, it's about time
Yep,
finally."
she was the one who was posting on her Instagram, like, it's about time, like everyone's
Mm.
safe. Like, can you guys send me any 8 passengers or connection stuff that was, you know, whatever. But yes, so this is their eldest daughter. She, I want to say, is 20, in college. And yeah. Right, Ashley. Hi, Ashley, by the way. I don't think I said hi to you. It's good to see you. So it has come out recently. No, sorry, back to your question before I start reading this, Kate. He was there during a lot of the stuff. So in my very first video that I covered Ruby, we went through Swoop's documentary, which if you guys don't know who Swoop is, you guys need to go subscribe to her channel. She does documentaries. They're incredible. She
does.
She just did one on Colleen Ballinger, and it's so good.
Okay, I was gonna ask if you've watched that yet. I want to.
Yeah, I've watched all of the installments of that. And you know, once again, just going back into like how much I was into that side of YouTube at a time. I mean, I had gone to Playlist Lives. I went to a Miranda Sings show. Like, I flew down to Florida and stayed in the hotel for Playlist Lives, and like was watching it every day, daily, growing up. And so I was very much aware of all of this, which is crazy now thinking about like how everything has come forth with everything. You know what I mean?
I saw Swoop was in she was on the HBO documentary on Gabby Petito.
Oh, was she?
I was watching it last night. And
So
I
is
was like,
Josh,
oh, there's Swoop.
isn't he?
Who?
Josh from the Dad Challenge podcast, or he's in
I think
the other
I don't
one. He's
know.
in the Gabby Petito one that was on
I was on like watching HBO Max and
Paramount
I was
Plus.
okay. No, I hadn't seen that one.
Oh, because I love Josh at the Dad Challenge podcast. If you guys don't watch him, like I say it every time I give the disclaimer that he is not everyone's cup of tea.
I'm not a fan of him at all, but
Exactly.
I don't.
I have talked to him many times behind the scenes. I've watched him for a very long time. He fights against child exploitation, and although his methods are questionable, depending, I respect that 100%. And like Kate, I respect that 100%.
I'm not a
find
fan
it
of him from the Sophie Long stuff. Like he was a big supporter of Sophie's dad.
Yeah, he was the one though of that little trio that did a lot of stuff that came out and said like I was told lies, blah blah blah. But I definitely agree with you because I watched all that too.
I didn't follow him on that, but I will say, being a local with the Sophie Long stuff, a lot of us supported Michael Long. We didn't know everything that was going on, so
right,
that we could only see really what Michael was posting.
Yeah, I mean, well, it wasn't necessarily just because of that, but we ended up getting into it with him because of a lot of that stuff, and
well,
I guess that's why there's like bad blood there,
Yeah, well, that makes sense. I mean, but
totally.
He was in one of the docs, and then they actually just released a Ruby doc. I heard. I haven't watched it. I don't even know where it's at, but someone had mentioned it to me. Does anyone happen to know where that is? Like what it's on? Hang on, let me see.
The Ruby Frankie.
Oh. Hang on, I'm looking it up to tell you guys.
Looks like there might be a Hulu one.
Okay.
Check in.
So Nightline did one.
So ABC News did an Impact Nightline Ruby Frankie, a mom's influencer's double life.
Okay, yeah. But I don't know. Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay, LFT said it's on Hulu. Yeah. All right.
That's it then? Okay.
Yeah. I haven't watched it, so I can't tell you if it's good or bad or accurate or whatever. Hi, B Crumbs. Okay, so let's go back to this. So.
Oh, it's on YouTube.
Oh, is it? Okay, cool. What are you saying, Aaron? All right. Ruby Frankie case. Kevin Frankie tried to have eldest daughter arrested, search warrant records show. He accused Sherry Frankie of burglary after she cooperated with Springville police during an authorized search of Ruby Frankie's home, records indicate. I will say, I believe, based on what I've read, that she had taken journals of Ruby's, but maybe it'll say in here. After YouTuber Ruby Frankie's August 30th arrest, 4 of her 6 children were placed in state's custody. Now, it was only 4 of the 6 because Sherry is 20 and her older son is 18. So he does not live there. Her 2 youngest kids were found first after one of them escaped the Ivans' home and Frankie's business partner Jody Hildebrandt and a neighbor called police. The 12-year-old boy appeared malnourished, authorities said. So did his 10-year-old sister, who they found inside Hildebrandt's home. And let's see. But records released to the Salt Lake Tribune this week show Frankie's older 2 children weren't there, prompting a search in Springville, more than 250 miles north where Frankie lived. The documents state those 2 kids were ultimately found safe in the care of another apparent colleague of Frankie's. Great. Ruby Frankie's eldest child, Sherry Frankie, 20, cooperated with authorities during the Springfield search, the records indicate. 2 days later, the father tried to have her arrested for burglary because he argued she is not allowed in the home, the documents state. So that brings me back, though, to like, she cooperated with authorities in this search. So what is he doing? Is he trying to sue the police for letting her in? But the thing is he has not even lived there for over a year. So why does he think he has a say in anything? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't.
It's odd.
Why did they break up? Like, what happened between them? Like, was she like making him stay away, or like,
I
was he
believe that is
just
the story.
choosing to stay away?
Both. So I believe by what was being said is she was kind of being like, "Hey, I'm gonna divorce you unless I think our marriage needs space." But then within that same statement, she said, "I think it's gonna be better off if you don't contact me or the kids for us to be able to get to a better place." And instead of being like, "No, I'm gonna, see my children," he's like, "Okay, peace." And he actually moved with the oldest son out, and they lived together somewhere. I'm not sure where. But he had not seen or heard from the kids in quite a long time. He was also, though, part of a lot of what had happened prior. So not necessarily like the physical tying up, stuff like that, but even back to when he was in the vlogs and they were doing the 8 Passengers vlogs and stuff like that, he was in them, like when they took away one of the kids' bedrooms and made him sleep on the floor in the living room and took off, the bathroom door and the bedroom door, and didn't bring the 6-year-old lunch when she forgot to pack her own lunch, and all the different things he was there for that led up to this point. So in my opinion, although he wasn't there in person during the actual like Jody time frame, he was part of Connections when they first started. He was part of Connections. He was friends with like Jody. Obviously they were all working together until it got too out of hand, and then he's whatever. And I think it was more just because Jody and Ruby started to get too close. He didn't like that, but that's just my opinion. Okay, Butterfly Kisses.
Good night.
I know. Thistle, can you stay appropriate, please, in chat? And all right. Yeah. Okay, so although, like I said, he's also still trying to get custody of these kids, which it's like, dude, you didn't try to get custody of them within the, year that your wife was living with Jody Hildebrandt. So why all of a sudden, now that your wife and Jody are in jail, that you're like, I want them? Like, bitch, please. No, it doesn't work like that. Oh, man. All right. It says, finding the... Here's that corner. Finding the other 2 Frankie children. According to the documents, the Utah Division of Child and Family Services first requested that Springville police search for Frankie's 2 middle daughters at Frankie's home address on the afternoon of August 30th after Ivan's authorities couldn't locate the girls. Responding officers spent several minutes knocking on Frankie's door, but no one answered, police said. All of the windows were also covered by blinds or curtains. Officers noted in the records, so they couldn't tell what was going on inside. After waiting for a warrant, officers broke through the home's front door, but found the home unoccupied, they wrote. After that time, Sherry Frankie had arrived at a neighbor's house. The Brigham Young University student cut ties with her family last year after her mother began working with Hildebrandt on their online self-improvement program called Connections, Sherry said on a podcast in April.
So the chick who did the podcast with her was like helping her.
Yeah. Just trying to like, she has just more recently talked out about everything, and she's always been very vocal about everything and trying. I've heard rumors potentially that the older two are with her, but I haven't, obviously, that was just literally like in the threads that I was reading. But yeah, I don't know. So there's Sherry there, walking out of court. She had previously expressed concern for her younger siblings. Police records released last month's show. In September 2022, she asked Springville officers to check in on her younger siblings, who she said had been left alone for 5 days, to make sure that they had enough food for an extended period. At the time, police responded and the kids appeared to be home, but no one came to the door, the records state. On the day of the search, Sherry Frankie told authorities that one of the yet-to-be-found girls may be at a nearby recreational center, but when police contacted the center, they were told the girls had been picked up because of a family emergency, according to police documents. Police then checked with the girl's older brother, who is 18 and lives in Provo. Authorities checked his apartment but did not find the children, and he declined to speak with responding officers, according to police documents. Which I find very interesting, but at the same time, he was living with their dad, so I don't know if he's still somewhat like under the family spell, because he's still hearing from his dad, you know what I mean? Like, maybe not the connection spell, but just the spell of like, this is how it works. I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's see. The connections employee told authorities that Ruby Frankie had asked her around noon to pick up the girls because of an unspecified family emergency. The woman added that it was not an odd request for her to bring them to her home, since the girls often did housework and chores at her American Fork residence, officers wrote in police documents. After speaking up one girl from the center and another from a different location, the employee took the girls out for lunch and ice cream, she said. She told police that she had no idea authorities had been looking for the girls and didn't know what was going on, documents state. An officer and a DCFS worker then spoke with the two girls on the employee's front porch, and the DCFS worker initially told them that they would be taken to stay with their sister, Sherry Frankie. But the girls told authorities they did not want to go with Sherry and instead preferred to stay with the employee, the documents say. Yikes. You've lost your mind, Heather. When an officer and a DCF worker tried to search one of the girls' backpacks, the girls became very defiant, telling authorities that they needed a warrant to do that, document notes. Dumb. The officer explained that a warrant wasn't needed for a precautionary search because she and her sister were being placed into state's custody. Nothing of note was found in the bag, police wrote, and the two girls were turned over to DCFS. The connections employee gave the girls some snacks before they left, the record states. Let's see. Here we go. On September 1st, 2 days after Ruby and Hildebrandt's arrest, Ruby's husband, Kevin Frankie, alleged that Sherry Frankie had broken into the family's Springville home. The father is currently seeking custody of the 4 children placed in state custody, his attorney, Randy Kester, said. Kester told the Tribune that Kevin Frankie had moved out of the family's Springville home last year after he and Ruby Frankie separated, but Kevin Frankie has since moved back in. Yeah, well, except for the fact that, you know, okay. Why are you on mute?
Me?
So, I don't know. Shay said I'm on mute in chat.
Oh. No, because somebody said that she's referencing someone saying there's someone talking in the background, but it might be my hubby. He's gaming in the background and yelling really loud because he has headphones on and can't hear himself.
I couldn't hear him, but I said maybe it's an ad, but I had myself on mute because I'm inside the house now just in case kids come up or something.
No, you're good. Oh my God. I don't know what's happening in chat. You guys are all crazy. All right. Let's see.
Oh, I have terrible misophonia. It drives me nuts. I cannot stand those ASMR videos. They make me literally insane.
Yeah. They creep me out. Kevin Frankie told police that he believed the home had been burglarized because the front door was kicked in and that several electronics were missing, which contained his electronic journals, according to the police documents. He told an officer that he suspected his eldest daughter was responsible, citing a statement that he alleged Sherry Frankie had made an unspecified court hearing that day, which we do know that she was there with the police and that the police broke the door down and the police seized a bunch of electronic evidence. So, dumbass. All right. Police documents do not specify Sherry's alleged statement, but an officer explained to Kevin Frankie that the door was breached when the Springville police entered the home on August 30th while serving the DCFS warrant. The officer told Kevin that the police went with Sherry to the home to retrieve personal items for two of her siblings. Kevin stated that Sherry is not allowed in the home and that he believed she entered unlawfully and he wants her charged with burglary. The officer reiterated that Sherry was only in the home to get necessary items for her siblings, which Kevin did not seem to think was relevant, according to police documents. What? LFT? Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna jump down because I got some food
Okay.
coming, but thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming up.
Appreciate it. I'll talk to y'all
Bye,
soon.
Shay. Nice
Bye,
talking with
guys.
you. Bye.
You too. Bye.
Okay, let's see. She told authorities that she didn't intend to deprive her father of the items, an intent required for a charge of theft. Kevin was displeased with this answer and advised we would be hearing from his attorney. All right. So there's that. So that kind of goes to show where everything is in that case. So the last case that I wanted to talk about is the alleged fake essay charges. So for those of you who are aware or not aware, I am a big baseball fan. I am a big Cubs fan to start, but then like right now, since the Cubs are not in the postseason, I'm watching all the games. I actually have the Diamondbacks Dodgers game right now. Diamondbacks are winning 10-0, which is quite embarrassing for the Dodgers, but it's whatever. And but anyways, there was something that happened a few years back involving the Dodgers pitcher, Trevor Bauer. So have any of you guys, do you know about the Trevor Bauer situation? Kate?
No, I haven't heard about it.
Okay. So Trevor Bauer was like one of the top pitchers in the Dodgers organization. He was in the starting lineup, like the starting rotation. And hey, Sarah, he had essay allegations come up a couple years back. I want to say it was 2021, of a woman. She came out saying that during a night together, he ended up beating her up, making her eyes swollen, making her lip bloody. She posted pictures of this, and the MLB have recently have a very zero tolerance on DV, which is good for the most part, obviously. But it's going to be very interesting how it's handled from here on out. So, Trevor Bauer was put on leave from the Dodgers. I know, actually. And you want to see if I noticed what? You should know this, LFT. We had this conversation. Yes. But now, Heather, it's getting more of a no tolerance that it has to be publicly addressed as well, which is the difference. But so if we get back to everything happening, this is someone that he met. She claims that after a night together, he had essayed her, actually assaulted her as well. And it was a whole thing. He was put on non-paid leave and during the investigation, and it kept getting pushed out and pushed out and pushed out. But it has come out now that it was a false allegation.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So he ended up taking her to court, civil court, for everything. She had gone to try and get a restraining order against him, which in DV cases, it is a very, very, very low chance that they say no, because they're going to go with the benefit of the doubt. When there is the potential of a history of DV, they will, like 99.9% of the time, give the temporary restraining order just to make sure that everyone kind of feels safe and taken care of at that point in time. And so they go to court for this, and it's kind of going back and forth. They're going to court for SA. Her people are trying to get him to, pay out, like, hey, we'll be quiet. You just have to pay us this much and we'll drop the suit and this and that. And one thing led to another. Her lawyers held stuff back, including a video of her the night after their encounter with no such markings on her face. Which is also her in bed with him, showing him, like on a Snapchat video of him asleep next to her and her turning it back to her and smiling. And with the metadata, they're able to say that it is the night that she claims that this happened. And then they also start revealing the text messages between the person who was saying he did this and her friends. Which I have a video. Actually, Trevor Bauer has his own YouTube channel that he has put statements out on. I will say that the judge ended up denying the restraining order, saying that you have fabricated what you're saying happened. I don't believe it happened. I think you've planned this from the beginning to extort him, and said no. So then Trevor ends up using his own money, knowing she has no money. He's not going to get a monetary gain from this, and spends a ton of money on lawyers to civilly take her to court to clear his name. But when you actually see these text messages, they're insane. It's a quick little video. Here we go. And I am obviously for fair use. Also, please go watch it on your own as well if you can. But this is the first text message. This is a text message from her to a friend before her and Trevor Bauer had ever even met. And this is before they ever even met. And she said, next
So she was like planning it. Oh my goodness.
Star pitcher for the Dodgers. So
now,
here,
can she be criminally charged for doing this?
She has not yet. But there are a lot of people that do want her to be charged because of,
like, would this be a crime? It could be a crime, right? Doing this to somebody, like falsely accusing someone of SA?
Well, it's filing a false police report and doing all that. I don't know to the extent.
I feel like that's nothing though. Like, she would get nothing for filing a false police report. Like, there's got to be some type of charge that they can get for doing, like, if they don't have a charge for this, they need to make it because need to scare like girls like this, or guys, girls, whatever, from doing stuff like this. It's just awful to do that to somebody.
Yeah, so this is only like a 3-minute video, but I'm gonna just play a little bit and then I'll pause so we can talk about it.
Star pitcher for the
So I will say this is Trevor Bauer. He is the one talking. He is the one that shows up in the video as we continue. This is him making his own video and putting it on his YouTube channel. So I'm gonna mute and then we can watch a little bit of this.
Dodgers. A text Lindsay Hill sent to a friend before she ever even met me. What should I steal? She asked another in reference to visiting my house for the first time. The answer? Take his money. So how might that work? I'm going to his house Wednesday, she said. I already have my hooks in. You know how I roll. Then, after the first time we met, net worth is 51 mil, she said. Bitch, you better secure the bag, was the response. But how is she going to do that? Need daddy to choke me out, she said. Being an absolute whore to try to get in on his 51 million, read another text. Then, after the second time we met, former Padres pitcher Jacob Nix told her, you got to get this bag. I'll give you 50,000, Lindsay replied. Her AA sponsor asked her at one point, do you feel a tiny bit guilty? Not really, she replied. Since then, her legal team has approached me multiple times about coming to a financial settlement. But as I have done since day one, I refuse to pay her even a single cent. In August of 2021,
blame him. That's awful. I cannot believe that. Like,
I know.
that is just awful.
Yeah.
Especially, like, that ruined somebody's career.
Right.
And he went without being paid for all this time. Ugh, so awful.
Right. Well, not only that, but I mean, it's very, very difficult to get back your reputation when you have something like this out there, because it not only adds to other people then adding on to it, because they'll see like, oh, someone else said it, so I'm going to say it and try to get the cash grab too. And so
and I'm glad he didn't like cave and give her the money, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
It's crazy.
So it's crazy. Okay, let me see. Let me know if I don't have to mute, so that way I don't have to mute, but then let me know if there's an echo, okay, guys?
Lindsay Hill's claims were heard in court, and during those legal proceedings, critical information was deliberately and unlawfully concealed from me and my legal team. Information like this video, which was taken by Lindsay Hill herself the morning after she claimed she was brutally attacked, emotionally traumatized, and desperate to get away from me. And now we have the metadata, so there can be no dispute. It was taken mere minutes before she left my house on the morning of May 16th, 2021, without my knowledge or consent, of course. In it, you can see her lying in bed next to me while I'm sleeping, smirking at the camera without a care in the world, or any marks on her face. I think it paints a pretty clear picture of what actually happened the evening of May 15th and why the video was originally concealed from us. Yeah. After hearing the evidence available,
I will say, it makes me like him a lot more, seeing his personality in this, of him being like, yeah.
Poor guy.
I know. And that's one of the reasons too, with everything like going on, he made it so that in the end he'll start talking about this, but in the end he does start talking about how the court's over, court's closed, they've both come to the agreement to just neither side gets anything and it's done, like everything's done. But he wrote in the closing that he's able to talk about this and that he has every right to talk about it, to talk about the case, to talk about what happened, because up till this point he was not legally able to. So but I will say, like, the way that he's coming at this is very much like, got you, bitch. Like, nice try again. But then the thing is regardless, she's not getting his money, but she still ruined his career. And that was kind of my point at the beginning, is how much can he actually get of his life back after this? Because what is it going to come out that, are they just going to put him back into the starting rotation and be like, sorry, dude? Is he going to get like a standing ovation because it wasn't him and everyone thought it was? Like, I'm very, very curious to see how the MLB, now that it's potentially proven false, how they're going to handle this of bringing him back and how the fans will take it. I mean, I'm sure fans will be like, absolutely, like, power on to Bauer, but like, I don't know. I still think there's a lot to it. All right, let's keep watching.
Well, to her, Judge Diana Gold-Saltman found that Lindsay Hill had misled the court. She found her claims to be materially misleading. She denied her request for a domestic violence restraining order, and she found that no sexual assault or non-consensual conduct took place. Now, some of you might not know about restraining order hearings. I know I didn't, but I've since learned that it's extremely rare for a request for a restraining order to be denied because the standard of proof that you need to obtain one is extremely low. So you can make of that what you will. The fact is, I was never arrested. I was never charged with a crime, and I won the only legal proceeding that took place without my side of the story even being heard. And most importantly, as I've said from day one, I never sexually assaulted Lindsay Hill, or anyone else for that matter. So I sued her, which prompted her to countersue me. Quite frankly, regardless of the outcome in court, I've paid significantly more in legal fees than Lindsay Hill could ever pay me in her entire life. And I knew that would be the case going in. But the lawsuit was never about the money for me. It was the only way for me to obtain critical information to clear my name. The discovery process in that lawsuit recently concluded, at which point Lindsay Hill's legal team again came to us with another proposal to resolve the case. This time, however, they weren't seeking any money from me. Having received much of the information that had been hidden from us, a small portion of which I've referenced here,
which once again was the video of her laying in bed the morning after this potentially happened and not having a face, which I will show you guys once we're done watching this. It's almost done. I'll show you what she claims happened to her. And then you guys can decide based on the video that he just showed and the video that she claims is the after it happened. So we'll finish this up and then I'll show you guys a picture.
I was willing to agree to the terms proposed. Both parties would drop their respective lawsuits, and neither of us would pay either side any money. I also retained my right to speak publicly about the case, something I have not been at liberty to do since June of 2021. So, as of today, both lawsuits have been settled. Now, over the last 2 years, I've been forced to defend my integrity and my reputation in a very public setting. But hopefully this is the last time I have to do so, as I'd prefer to just remain focused on doing my job, winning baseball games and entertaining fans around the world. So today, I'm happy to be moving on with my life.
All right, so, okay, but people making these like pictures here crack me up. All right. K-Bray was, why are you pretty? Okay, let me see now if I can find. I don't know. What do you Google? Photo. She also went on an interview, and was like, "Yeah, these are all taken out of context."
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Taken out of context, how? How do you take them? How are those messages taken out of context at all?
Right. This is what she supposedly looked like. Hang on, there. This is the picture that she claims she looked like leaving his house. But then you compare this.
Did you ever get like a nose job or something?
I don't know.
Sometimes people get like the black eyes from like a nose job.
Doesn't look like it. But she has a swollen lip.
Or makeup, maybe.
Yeah, right. And so, but if you guys look like next to each other, like this is the one that she put out saying like, "Oh my gosh, he beat me up, he essayed me, blah blah blah," and then this is actually the video of the morning after, while they're still in bed. She took a video, and this is what her face looked like. And she hid this, or the prosecution, or the defense hid this from him when they went to court. It was not put out until this other one during discovery. So I don't know. I think even if you don't like baseball, it's an important case because of the false allegations of things and how
Yeah.
much a false allegation not only discredits actual victims of
Absolutely.
DV and SA
But
and
then
things like
makes people start not taking the claims as seriously,
Right.
because when it comes to
Mhm.
you know, people with a lot of money are like, oh well, maybe they're faking it to get money. You know what I mean? It takes away from the actual people who are
Right. But
going
then
through
it's
that.
going to be very interesting to see how a major player like MLB, like the Major League Baseball, is going to actually handle someone proven innocent when they have the certain DV protocols. Like, it's going to be very interesting not only to see how they handle it, they end up, because technically he didn't do anything wrong. So is he going to end up getting his contract back and get back pay for everything that happened up to that point, and then how it's just going to be handled overall. I think it's going to be a very interesting, and I think it's one of the first times, because it is so difficult to prove SA allegations and DV allegations to be wrong. It's like one of the first times that a public figure has potentially done that. And so it's going to be very interesting on a public platform how he's going to be able to come back from it, and I'm going to be following it. I found it very interesting, but like I said, I also am into baseball, so well, right, Heather. Yeah. Better be reinstated or it could be a lawsuit with the Dodgers, right? But at that point, do they put out a statement and be like, "Hey, you're gonna, be able to do this, this, and that"? Shay, I think on the sports industry in general, it should be examined and determined how to handle going forward. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's definitely something that when I read it, because I remember when this all happened and being like, oh, another one. Great. Heather, I was gonna say your team didn't make the playoffs, but neither did mine, so I couldn't say it. Well, and that's the thing, LFT, though, is that she literally took the video the next morning and had none of the injuries that she claims were the injuries that he inflicted after the fact, which is crazy. Oh. No, she said, Aaron, you should hear me during the playoffs. But either way, the Dodgers right now are losing 10-0, so. Well, Heather, I said my team didn't get in either. I will say, though, that the Twins, Minnesota Twins, which is my second team, is they made it. And for the first time since 2002, won a postseason game. So fingers crossed. They lost today, but it's best of 5. So, yep, Rangers are in. They won today. Aries, you're back. Yeah, I know. Well, it's in the top of the 8th right now. It's 10-0. So, oh well. But I think that was everything I had for tonight. Kate, did you have anything else you wanted to bring up?
Nah, I think I went over all the ones I wanted to ask you about.
Well, and we will continue looking into the Bardstown stuff, and I want to continue looking into the Karen Reed stuff. I still have to cover the Sherry Orofino case. I'm still trying to kind of look into bits and pieces of that. I think I was going to start working with Shay to work on the Jason Landry case.
I think I might do Crystal Rogers this week if you want to come up with me. And
Absolutely. Yes.
I just want to look more into like the Ellis case and the other ones and see if, I can find any connections there and stuff. And then you can come up and do it with me if you
Absolutely. I would love to. Yeah. I look forward to that. I'm trying to think of what other cases, like I have my list. But I think LFT did tell me that she really enjoyed looking at Brooke's house picture, so I'm not quite sure what she's talking about in chat, but it's fine. Let's see. Oh, have you, Aaron? And yes, guys, please go follow Kate Does Crime. Thank you once again for coming up. It was last minute. I was just throwing links everywhere, and I'm like, come up. I'm just having a chill live. And she came up, so thank you. I appreciate that so much.
Yeah. I like chatting cases, so anytime.
No, well,
anytime.
Now what do I do with my life? Did my lives, and now I'm like, oh, I just get to go on to the next case. So, like I said, there's a lot of stuff going on. I'll keep everyone updated on my mom and grandpa. She's actually going to see him tomorrow. So, okay, K-Braze. I'll check as soon as we're off of here. And yeah. Oh, thank you, Rhiannon. I appreciate that. But please like the video, subscribe if you are not. We focus on victims here, and we support the other channels that do as well. Kate Does Crime is a good one. Criminality with Teresa is a good one. The Decipher podcast with TNLFT. And thank you to all my mods. Thank you to all of you guys that came in and listened tonight. No, Nora's, you'll have to tell me about it. Oh, you found us! Allie Cattails! We're just about to end, but thank you for coming in.
I hate when that happens.
I know.
I always feel bad. Like, I'm sorry you came in just when I'm about to end it.
I know. And so, thank you. But now you found where we are. So, thank you for coming in. And I'll say, Allie Cattails, I watched a live with you once on panel, and I loved it. So, just know I'm a fan of yours as well. Hi, Princess Megan Elsa. Thank you, Grateful Middle-Aged Cat Mom. I appreciate that. Is there any other way for me? All right. Well, I'm going to end it out here, guys. Remember to stay kind. And yeah, that's it. I will talk to you guys next time. Bye, guys.
Good night, everyone. See ya.
Bye.